Hello, fellow Crusaders, and welcome to our very special summer movie preview. My name is Sean Wasserkrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels, and I went there for a second. I had a lisp all of a sudden there for a second, but with me, as always, is Brian Michaels. It is that time of year again. It is the summer movie season.
You mean the summer movie season?
The summer movie season. But yes, also known as, hey, my birthday's coming up, because my birthday always starts off the summer movie race. So it is time to talk about all the potentially fun films that are going to be coming out this year. And hopefully they're as exciting as we think they're going to be, unlike, I think, last year, where the year of meh continued well into summer, where there was a lot of movies that we were excited for who just didn't quite match the excitement and anticipation. I feel like this summer, I was looking at the list, and while there are some big names out there, movies coming out, a lot of it is just like, yeah, okay. Like I don't feel like the summer movie season is as big as it was supposed to be last year. I think there's like 6 or 7, like, in our eyes, big ones, and then everything else is like, we'll see what happens with them. Do you kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, I think that this is still kind of feeling repercussions of the writer's strike and everything that happened that kind of pushed projects back. So that's part of it. I mean, there's plenty of movies out that I'm very interested in seeing, but yeah, I mean, just in terms of monetarily, which we'll talk about later, I think that there's really only a couple huge blockbusters, and then everything else is kind of your guess as good as mine. As far as our interest, there's definitely movies we want to see, but honestly, it's a far cry from summer used to be like on any given weekend there's 2 or 3 movies battling out, and there's a lot of weekends when there's basically like one big movie opening and that's it.
Yeah, I remember. I'm pretty sure last year there was at least 1, if not 2 weekends where there was like 3 or 4 movies coming out that weekend. I was like, man, I'm gonna just, I guess, do a triple feature. I don't see any like Barbenheimer situation coming. I think there's one weekend where you could get close to that, but I don't think it's going to remotely touch it. I think it's like,
the only ones sharing weekends, I think, for the most part, are going for different audiences.
Is it Furiosa and Garfield? Are those
Furiosa and Garfield open on the same day? Yes.
Everyone's calling that the Barbenheimer this year.
Not even close.
I was like,
not even close.
Not even. I'm sure they're both going to do well. I just don't see that's anywhere in the same realm as Barbenheimer. But then there's the first thunder. It's storming here, guys. So if you hear loud bangs, it's because it's storming here. But yeah, it just. I feel like there's going to be the occasional weekend where there's 2 movies coming out, but I don't think there's a single weekend where it's like, oh shit, there's a lot coming out, and we just got to pick which ones we're going to see, or we're just going to see all 3. But yeah, so how we're going to do the structure of this is the same way we've done it previous years. For anyone who has not seen this before, we're kind of just going to go through the calendar. We're going to just go through May through August. Talk about the movies that are getting released, talk about our thoughts on them, if we have any at all. There's a couple movies where it's like, I don't really know anything about this, so we're just going to move on. And there are some where we're probably going to talk about, for a solid 5-10 minutes on, which probably is going to be the big ones. And then at the very end, we will give what our box office predictions are going to be by end of summer. What is going to be the summer knockout? What's going to be the summer disappointments? We usually are very bad at this. We think we're very good at it, and then we are very bad at it. 2 years ago, we did this episode 3 days before Top Gun Maverick exploded.
I think all the screenings happened, and people started talking about how great it was. And
yeah, I think we both had it finishing 7th in the summer, and then 3 days later, we're like, we made a great mistake. and then of course last year, I think we both anticipated Oppenheimer being huge. I don't think we expected Barbie. I think I had Barbie in honorable mentions, and I think you had Barbie I think in either somewhere in the 8 to 10 range.
I had both of them down, because honestly, Oppenheimer I thought would be big for a drama coming out in the middle of summer, but I had neither of them anywhere near the top. Yeah.
So I'm trying to be a little more precautious, smarter this year, but watch me over exaggerate the movies that I think are going to do well, because that was my big problem last year. Is I thought Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning was going to ride the coattails of Top Gun Maverick. It was going to be one of the biggest films of the year, and it fucking wasn't. And then there were a couple that we were right on, like Guardians and Cross the Spider-Verse, stuff like that. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead. Oh, also, let's see, Crow got moved. Craven got moved all the way to fucking Christmas, because that's a Christmas movie. I don't know about you, but
Honestly, there's a long history of like action movies coming out at Christmas now.
yes, but at least have like the season be around Christmas, like Violent Night. It's like, hey, we're in like the Serengeti. We're watching Craven the Hunter right before we go open presents with mom and dad. Did he rip someone's throat out? Yes, he did, son. And that's what happens when you aren't nice and Santa comes to get you. But like, it's such a weird, like, why December, man? I don't get it. But we're hoping that's good though, because we want Aaron Taylor Johnson. We want the best for Aaron Taylor Johnson. We hope this is as good, or in my opinion, better than fucking Venom, which I think is incredibly overrated. But yeah, so we're not going to be talking about that. Crow got put to September.
I believe it was September on that one. Yeah.
So we're not going to be talking about that because we're just going to the end of August.
And all of these are as of now. I mean, release dates obviously can change. Our luck, 3 of them are going to move by the time this gets edited and aired. So
yep.
all this
Or we're going to get 5 trailers of movies that we didn't even breathe about. Like, oh, that's this movie, and we move on. It's like, oh shit, we probably should have talked about that. So if you're wondering, well, why did you guys not talk about Joe Schmo's movie? Well, Joe Schmo's movie didn't have a trailer when we were making this video, so that's why. But let's go ahead and dive into the first week of May, the start of the summer movie season, which is, hey, this Friday. Obviously, our biggest movie.
Technically, yeah, May 2nd, Idea of You hits Amazon, but yeah, it's not really a good movie kickoff. So
yeah, but honestly, Idea of You, I saw the trailer for it. It looks good. I mean, it's a dramedy, or a romedy, I guess if you want to call it a romance drama. I wouldn't call it a rom-com. Anne Hathaway. I don't quite know who the younger actor is.
He hasn't really done a lot. I recognize the name,
but I've heard great word of mouth about this. Is this only getting a Prime release, or is this getting theater release too?
No, it's just. I mean, it's had like some festival screenings and things like that. That's why it doesn't show up on the release calendar because it's technically been released, but it's not getting an actual theatrical release. This is strictly an Amazon Prime thing. Okay. The guy's name is Nicholas Galizatine. I don't know how to pronounce that. Who's done really nothing. Red, White, and Royal Blue. It looks like he's done a lot of Netflix kind of movies. So yeah.
So stuff we've never heard of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's a musician, and she's. I mean, the way they're portraying it, she's a cougar. It's Anne fucking Hathaway. People stop treating her like she's fucking old woman. But basically, a relationship starts there, and it's more, he's in the limelight, and she's the older woman he's seen, and that's kind of the storyline. But like I said, I've heard really good word of mouth of this. I plan on watching this week and kind of seeing exactly what, if it, word of mouth is good or if it's overrated, like some things we've talked about this year already. But yeah, that comes out the 2nd, so that technically is the very first film of the summer movie season. But the next day,
the real kickoff,
is the real kickoff, where you and I have been waiting for this film since we heard about it, since we saw the first trailer and the second trailer and the Super Bowl spot and all this stuff, and that's The Fall Guy. You and I don't think you and I have ever been this excited or anticipated for a movie that was not a franchise. Outside of I think In the Heights for you, in a very, very long time. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yeah. I mean, obviously you get psyched about the Marvel things and things like that, but this one I'm psyched about. I mean, not only because it's got, a great cast with Emily Blunt and Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling and Winston Duke and all those other people. But of course for me, especially with David Leitch being the director, I think he's a phenomenal director of action, obviously coming from a stunt background. I would plug on Peacock show called Action, which is basically following. It's a 6-episode show following 87 North, which is David Leitch's stunt production company, and it follows them as they filmed both Violent Night, and then as the second half of the show is them when they're filming Fall Guy, and it just gave me a whole new, it gives you a whole new kind of perspective, a whole new respect for what the stuntmen do, and especially this movie that's supposed to be just like this love letter to the stunt profession. And it just looks like a ton of fun. I mean, from the action scenes to the chemistry, romantic chemistry with Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling. Ryan looks like he's having a ton of fun. He kind of looks like he's almost like in his nice guys mode in terms of his kind of
Nice
brand.
guys, but in a badass way, not like the clumsy, like idiot way, like he is in Nice Guys, though.
Oh no, I just meant just the comedy aspects of it.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a movie that I was already psyched to see, and then everything I've heard and seen since then has just got me more and more excited too. Honestly, outside of Deadpool, it's probably my most anticipated film of the summer.
Oh, me too. It's definitely in the top 3 most anticipated for me. I mean, because Deadpool and Wolverine obviously is number 1, and then probably this and probably Twisters is probably like my top 3 most. Probably yours too. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is just kind of like a perfect storm, but you got Emily Blunt, who we love, and she's kind of playing wacky with it as well. Like, she's just amazing, and I think she's having fun. Gosling looks like he's having a blast. Aaron Taylor Johnson, I don't know how big of a part he's got in it, but he's in it. But yeah, it could just be the M. Night Shyamalan of it all, where this trailer is just hitting all the perfect marks. It could be because of the Bon Jovi music or what have you, but it just looks like so much fun, and everyone's having a great time, which makes me want to enjoy having a great time watching this. And every time I see the trailer for it, I just get more and more excited to watch this movie, which means either it's going to match expectations, which is a very fucking good thing, or it's not. And I'm like, yeah, that was a disappointment. It didn't hit for me, which sucks because Fall Guy doesn't deserve that kind of pressure. But it's done.
I don't really feel the pressure. I think for me, it feels like it's just gonna be like a matter of how much I love it. Because I mean, yes, we like the trailers, things like that, and there have been, obviously critics, some reviews, things like start coming out. But then there have been actual screenings at like South by Southwest and some other things where people have just been, raving about. I mean, not everybody thinks it's like 5-star best film of the year or anything, but the word everyone uses is fun. Even the people who are like, it's not the greatest movie ever made, but it's just a fun time at the movies. And that's all I want for movies. So I'm sold.
Yeah, I mean, much like we were talking about last week with Rebel Moon, who I did not have fun with, but Brian goes, it's a guilty pleasure. I had fun with it. Well, at least you did. But as long as I can have fun with this and like the characters, like the story and everything like that, I feel like Fall Guys might be... I feel like Fall Guys... Because we love Blunt and we love Gosling... and we like David Leitch as a director. They're not necessarily big box office like juggernauts, but start of the summer, word of mouth, very popular, fun film. That's the one that's going to have legs.
Yeah, you got Ryan Gosling coming off the tail of Barbie. You have the kind of, it's a lot. Apparently, a lot of it's kind of a rom-com thing. So you're going to bring in maybe some audience who isn't there for, especially the way the marketing it, that wouldn't be there for just an action film. I think it's going to have a real strong chance to make a good amount of money. So.
Well, yeah, because it's one of those where it's like it might not have the biggest weekend, which everyone's going to go, oh, it flopped. But no, but it might have legs where it's creeping into June, and it just keeps adding. All you need is one other bad movie coming out the following weeks or two, and everyone's like, hey, you want to go see Fall Guy again? And then all of a sudden, Fall Guy is one of the bigger hits of the summer, and which we're hoping it is. We want this movie to be good. We want this movie to succeed and do well. Is there anything else that weekend, or is it just Idea of You and Fall Guy?
There is a horror movie called Tarot. It was originally called Horror Scope when it was in production, but now apparently it's called Tarot.
Is it the tarot card one?
It's the tarot card one, yeah.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it looks like just every other PG-13 horror movie that's been released in the last 10, 15 years. But actually, I mean, the trailer I thought was decent. I'm intrigued by it. I think it looks interesting. And the fact that they are releasing it on May 3rd, I mean, this isn't like they didn't dump it into the usual, January, February slot. So it means I think they have some faith in it. Whether or not it's any good, I don't know, but it looks worth.
Is there any names in it?
The only people I see in it, I don't recognize anybody. So, Jacob Batalon from Spider-Man is in it.
Oh, okay.
Ned.
Yeah, Ned.
If I had to guess, I bet a lot of these people are, people of a younger generation might be familiar with their faces from like Netflix shows or something, but there's nobody that I recognize at all now.
Gotcha. I remember seeing the trailer once and it didn't really do much for me. Now, but then again, neither did fucking Smile or Barbarian, and those were like two big juggernauts of the year when those came out because horror has to go somewhere. But we do have plenty of horror this summer. It's just finding the one that's going to be that big surprise horror shocker. But yeah, going to the next
And then
week.
also just one more for May 3rd. On Netflix, you get the Jerry Seinfeld Pop-Tart movie, Unfrosted.
You know what? That I watched the trailer because I want to say this. At first, when I heard about this and I saw the cast, I'm like, I don't care about this. I don't want to watch this. But I watched the trailer and I was like, you know what? I am not the biggest Seinfeld fan or Jerry Seinfeld in general. I find him very irritating. But this actually looks fun. And I told Brian this when I watched the trailer. I was like, this is either going to be great or it's going to be another The Bubble, or you brought up Fool's Paradise, where it's like, how can this cast fail? This cast is so massive and huge that it has to be good. Well, we just gave you 2 examples of that same remedy, and it did not work.
Yeah, I think that the key in this one, when I saw the trailer, I think it set my mind a little bit at ease because it looks like they are just going for pure comedy. Because there's been so many of these movies, like with Air and Blackberry and other ones, where it's like these products, movies, where and you're just kind of like, okay, how are you make the invention of the Pop-Tart exciting? But they're not trying to make it exciting. They're trying to make it funny. And so if they lean into that, and based on like everybody that's in it now, I'm sure 99% of them are just cameos, like one scene or something.
Yeah.
But it does look entertaining, so I'll check it out on Friday.
Tetris is the other one you were thinking about.
What's that?
Tetris was the other one.
That's the other one I was trying to think of. Yeah. And again, see, they found an angle where like wasn't just programming this game. It's that's uninteresting, but they found an angle to make it fun. So,
oh yeah.
There you go.
All right. What's next?
Then we move on to May 10th. Which I see 2 movies on May 10th. That being, for the first one, let's say Poolman. This is the Chris Pine starring and directed film, which everything I've heard and like as far as screenings and that has said it's a horrible, horrible disaster of a film.
Oh, really? Because the trailer actually kind of gave me some.
The trailer looks amusing, and I like Chris Pine, so I really want to like this movie. I'm hoping it's just like stuffy festival people, who don't have any tastes. Because that'll really disappoint me if it's bad. I don't expect it to be great, but I'm hoping it's good. But it's not looking good.
I got very much like granted, it's gonna be weird for me to like put it next to this movie when I've never seen this movie. But I got very much almost like a Big Lebowski kind of vibe out of it, like Big Lebowski, but like with like kind of like
personality to him.
Yeah, so I was just like, this could be fun. It's Pine. Pine is good with comedy. It's just a lot of people don't look at him as the funny Chris. Because you got, the other Chris's that are way better at comedy. He's kind of more of the action or serious guy. But I mean, it looked intriguing, but it's getting bad word of mouth.
Yeah, the first bunch of reviews that came out after whatever festival it premiered at. But that's not the general public, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
The other one, the obvious, the big blockbuster for that day, as one that I know Sean's really looking forward to, is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Now, for me, I've never been excited about a Planet of the Apes movie ever. Like the old ones, the old original one I watched and it's fine. Never saw all the other ones until I watched them for trivia, and I even watched them on like fast forward because they sucked.
Poor bastard. You poor bastard.
Tim Burton's we won't talk about. Rise of the Planet of the Apes came out. I'm like, okay, I don't care about Planet of the Apes. I went and saw it. I was quite impressed by it. I really liked it. What they did with it. I thought the great story they found to it. Obviously Andy Serkis doing his thing. It was good. And as they went on, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, I wasn't super excited going into it, although I was more optimistic having just come out of Rise. But I wasn't like psyched about it. But I went and saw it, and I really enjoyed it. War for the Planet of the Apes, same thing. I wasn't super excited about coming out, but I went and saw it, and I really enjoyed it. I think even more than most people, I liked that one. I'm in the same position on this one. I wouldn't care if this movie didn't exist. I'm not excited about it. It's nowhere near on my anticipated list of the year. It looks fine. When I look at the trailers, things like that, there's absolutely nothing capturing me, making me want to rush out and see this movie. But I mean, I kind of assume that it's going to be awesome as well. So I'm going to check it out. Now, it's not all the same people involved necessarily. So we have to see, how much of it is the people that make the movies that made it. I don't know.
Yeah, like I like to talk about like the Planet of the Apes franchise because yes, this is one of my most anticipated films of the summer. This is one of the ones I'm the most excited to go back and see, especially in theaters. I like to chalk up the Planet of the Apes franchise as a lot like James Bond for me. Like I knew of the old ones, but I didn't really watch any of them because I didn't really care. I obviously we all seen the Charlton Heston OG one, and then Tim Burton's one I watched in theaters, and I was like, this is not good. Like, why do we care about this? And much like a lot of the old Bond films, it's like, yeah, they're cheesy and corny, but back then they worked. And then Daniel Craig showed up, and it's like he made Bond cool again. And same thing with Dawn or Rise, Dawn, and War. It was just like you have the masterful work of Andy Serkis, and then the human cast in each individual film. And Rise, I thought, was solid to good, which was a good starting off point. And then Dawn and War were both my number one films of the year when those came out. And both of those, it was like, cool. I liked the previous one. I liked Rise. I hope Dawn's good. And I fucking fell in love with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I thought it was a fucking almost perfect film. And then, of course, naturally, the expectations for War were so high. I didn't think anything was going to beat Logan in terms of my rankings in 2017, but War somehow did. And so I thought that was a flawless trilogy where each movie just got progressively better than the last. I know Dawn's technically the favorite for most people, but I think War is just as good, if not better, in certain aspects. And yeah, I didn't necessarily need them to come back to this franchise. I didn't need to see this come back because we knew Andy was going to move on, and I'm sure Tony Kebbell. Is it Tony Kebbell?
Toby.
I was like, I knew that was wrong when I said it. I'm sure they have moved on to other things, but it's Andy Serkis's I think team as the same team.
Yeah, he essentially started up like a whole a mocap specialty program that it's like almost like a school, and they get all the best people coming from that.
So it's one of those things where it's like it's Andy Serkis's hands are in it, and so are the old people. They're in it. Obviously, not the same director, not the same kind of cast, but you can watch these trailers, and you can see that it's not quite the trilogy, but you can still see flashes of the trilogy. So I'm going in optimistic, but I'm not going in expecting Dawn and War of the Planet of the Apes. I'm just hoping that it's kind of like Rise, where it's solid and it's a jumping off point to potential new trilogy or however many they're going to make. I just don't want it to suck. And I don't think it will. The lead actress, I know her from the Witcher series on Netflix. She's a solid actress. And a lot of it's going to depend on the mocap and the apes because they're more of a vocal speaking cast this time than they were in the OG trilogy. Not the OG trilogy, but the present trilogy. So like I said, I'm optimistic for it. I'm excited to check this out. But I'm also hesitant at the same time because I know it's not going to be Andy. And the whole reason that those trilogies worked as well as they did was because of the performance of Andy Serkis as Caesar and making you buy into the apes and making them feel like fully fledged characters. From what I've seen so far, I feel like they're going to stay in that mindset because they have to. But it looks like they're going to succeed. It's just more or less is the script and the story going to connect with everyone as well, like that trilogy did. And I hope it does. I hope it does.
Yeah, and the director is Wes Ball, who did the Maze Runner movies. Who people like to trash all these YA novel adaptations.
Maze Runner, I always thought was
Maze Runner as far as
YA
ones go. I thought Maze Runner was actually really well directed. I mean, any problems I think those had were in the scripts, but so I have faith in him. I don't know if it needs to be 2.5 hours long. But we'll see if
all the Planet of the Apes movies are 2 to 2.5 hours long. That's like getting mad when a Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings movie is almost 2.5, 3 hours long. It's like, well, they all are. Same thing with Marvel now. Almost all of them are 2 to 2.5. You just expect it now. But
briefly, I skipped over one just the day before on May 9th. Netflix has a movie, Mother of the Bride, which is Brooke Shields and Benjamin Bratt. Basically, Brooke Shields' daughter Miranda Cosgrove is getting married, and Brooke Shields finds out that the groom is the son of a man who broke her heart like a long time ago. Wackiness ensues. It's just a rom-com thing on Netflix. So, it's kind of thing. It's free. Maybe check it out. Maybe don't. But I just want to mention that.
Unless people are freaking out about how great it is, I probably will not.
Honestly, I looked at this. The first thing I thought of when I saw this, just being this Netflix thing, and I was like, oh, this looks like, wow, this is a bad comparison. This looks like a Shotgun Wedding without the action. So Yeah,
Uh,
that's not a ringing endorsement, folks.
no, because Shotgun Wedding was one of the worst films of last year.
All right, so moving on to the next week, May 17th. We got a couple movies coming out. The first one being the Amy Winehouse biopic, Back to Black. I don't really have anything much to say about that. You?
I'm not. I never really paid attention to her as a performer. I mean, we all know like her first like her big hits and stuff like that, but I was never a big Amy Winehouse fan. Doesn't mean that she's not due for a movie like this. I saw the trailer. Performance wise, the woman casting it, I think, is doing an admirable job. It's just much like the Bob Marley movie, where I actually really enjoy that actor who played Bob Marley. Is do I care enough to want to watch it? And so far, I have not checked out the Bob Marley movie, and I don't know if I'm going to care enough to check out Back to Black.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of thing that, maybe I'll check it out on streaming if I hear great things about it, but it's one that I'm in no rush to go see. So
yeah,
is what it is. Also coming out that day is The Strangers Chapter 1. I still have not figured out if this is supposed to be a prequel, a sequel, a reboot, because they've been kind of vague on what it is, because they kind of reference the other ones, but it's supposed, like the trailer says, learn the story of how they became the strangers, but apparently they're already the strangers. Anyway.
Yeah, it comes off like a prequel.
Yeah, and this is directed by, there's going to be 3 chapters, all directed by Renny Harlin, who did like Die Hard 2, he did Cliffhanger, he did some other stuff. He hasn't really done a whole lot in a while, but he's doing these. The thing about it is they're doing 3 chapters of it, and they're all apparently coming out this year.
I have not heard any releases on the second and the third one.
No, they have not announced the dates on the other 2, but they're supposedly all coming out this year.
Are they gonna do a Fear Street thing where it's one each week?
I guess my guess is going to be spread out a little more, like one now, one in like August, one in October, something like that. I don't know. I'll check out the first one, and based on that, I'll see if I'll see the other ones. Renny Harlin, I generally like the stuff he's done, and The Strangers I thought was decent. There was a sequel to it. Was it Strangers?
It was oh god, it was Strangers. Not They Come at Night.
Something like that. I think it was.
Was it They Come at Night? Okay,
something like that.
yeah.
But that one was kind of it was okay. But I'll check this one out.
Honestly, I was about to say I'm not watching this, and then you mentioned Renny Harlin as a director. I'm like, well, that's an odd director pairing. Maybe I will check it out. I know the lead actress. She was in Riverdale.
Okay.
So that's why I know her, even though she looks really different compared to when she was on Riverdale. But the original Strangers film I liked up until the end, and then I fucking hated it. And I fucking hated the second one. I thought the second one was one of the worst films of the year when it came out. I just have never really liked the concept of these films. I never have. Why are you doing this? Because you were home. Okay, cool. This is chapter 1. So you basically have given away that they're going to kill the leads in this movie. They're not going to survive. Why? Because it's showing you how the strangers became the strangers. Well, we know that the strangers are going to win in the end. So you basically have given away the aurora, or the not aurora, the aura on if they're going to survive, because they're not. You already told us that they're going to die at the end of this movie, because there's a chapter 2 and a chapter 3, and it's at least
I don't know if I need.
Jason, they're going to die at the end, but they're going to come back. They're not going to kill the strangers and then have a chapter 2 and chapter 3 because it says you see how they became the strangers. Well, cool. You just told us that they're going to win at the end. So what's the point?
My understanding that I think it's supposed to be like a reboot. So it's a prequel in that it's takes place earlier than the other one does, but I think the other one doesn't exist here. It's kind of pretending it's starting.
I get that, but the trailer.
But the thing is, I don't know where they're going with it, so I don't know what kind of arc they're going to set up to it. But I don't know that I need 3 movies of this, which is why I'm like, I'll see the first one, but I don't know if I need to see more.
I honestly, this movie's going to have to get amazing word of mouth for me to even blink.
I also kind of feel
I just don't like the premise. I don't like the premise.
Yeah, and doing the 3 movie thing and so close together, I kind of feel like this is one of those where the theatrical release is basically a commercial for when it shows up on streaming. So it's not going to make a ton of money. I mean, horror movies always make a little bit of money because people on date nights or whatever go out and see it. But it is what it is. By the way, the second movie is called Pray at Night. I just looked it up. So. And then, of course, the third movie coming out that week, the third major film coming out that week is If. Imaginary Friends. This is a movie directed by John Krasinski, starring Ryan Reynolds, and a whole host of voices. I'll let you take the lead on this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this movie could go one of two ways. It's either going to become like the Paddington of the summer, which is great word of mouth, and people are going out and seeing it for just some fun stuff throughout the year, or it's going to be considered a flop because of the cast and not enough people are going to go see it. But honestly, it's picking a fantastic week to come out because you either are an Amy Winehouse fan or you're a horror fan. Outside of that, that's your window. You got Ryan Reynolds, beloved. John Krasinski's voicing and directing. So far, his directing has been stellar. You got a great voice cast. It's a kids' movie, so it's something to take the kids to at the start of summer because you all know you want to dump the kids off at the movie theaters. So in terms of making money, if should be, at least until the following week, a pretty stellar number one for that
Yeah,
week.
because there's no family films out right now. I mean, there's a couple that have been out for a while, like Kung Fu Panda and that. But will have been no new family films out before this, and the next one isn't until like another 3-4 weeks away.
No, there's another one the following week.
Yeah, the following week. Oh,
yeah.
See, I don't think that one's going to do that well. But
I strongly disagree. I think it's going to be way more surprising than you think. I really do.
I think it'll have time to make some money though.
But yeah, I think If's gonna. I've liked what I've seen from it. You think it's a little too kiddie for your liking, but once again, it's
for me. This looks like a movie that's going to make a ton of money to me. But to me, it's just not a movie that's appealing so much to me. It feels almost like a live action Monsters Incorporated. It is definitely very, very family oriented and kids, but that's fine. It's just, if it was more of I don't want to say adult kind of makes it sound like I don't mean like R-rated, but it looks like the tone is not going to appeal to me as much. But I'm sure it'll be a great movie for that audience.
As long as it's something that I can go into and just kind of like Paddington, where it's a talking, stuffed bear. Obviously, it's directed to kids, but you watch it and you're just like, that was actually just really pleasant. That was nice. Like if I just have like a shit day and I just want to put on something that just is like a warm hug, you put on like Paddington, or last year it was Wonka, where I could just put on Wonka and just be like, I can just turn my brain off and just enjoy what I'm watching.
Well, my cold dead heart still hasn't seen the Paddington movies, so.
Has Nicolas Cage taught you nothing, Brian? Come on. But yeah, there is one other movie that comes out. I saw a trailer for it. This is for the raunchy comedy people. It's called Babes. I actually
have that listed for the previous weeks. I wasn't sure where to put that one. Yeah.
The website I'm looking at has it coming out that week.
Okay.
I'm blanking on the leads because the picture's way too small, but I know it's basically, it's about these two friends. One of them gets pregnant, and the other one I think is already has
Lana Glazer and Shola Arawusi.
Yeah, Lana Glazer, I know. The trailer looked fine. It kind of looked like knocked up to a point. It could be something that could be a surprise comedy hit. Or it could be kind of like how Joyride was, or it could be something that just comes out and we never hear about it, and then all of a sudden it pops up on Netflix one day. You're like, oh, I remember that movie. When did it come out? Because you just completely forget about it. It could go one of two ways. But once again, picking the week that it came out, it has a chance to be a sleeper. It probably will finish fourth, obviously, because you got, once again, Amy Winehouse and Strangers and If, but it's enough to have legs because there's not like there's another comedy movie coming out really anytime soon that's not a kids film. So it could get the rom or the raunchy comedy money from that.
It's definitely trying really hard to be like this year's Joyride or whatever, which didn't make a lot of money, so it'll probably hit about the same amount. I saw the trailer. It didn't do a whole lot for me, but it could be funny and just couldn't show it in the trailer. It could also just be that it's really a lot funnier for a different demographic audience than I am.
I do see one other film. This is going to go. It says theaters, but this is a VOD film. But I saw the trailer and it intrigued me enough to want to mention it. You Can't Run Forever. J.K. Simmons is a guy who has, I guess, just snapped. And
that's a VOD movie. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he just decides he wants to go on a killer rampage. kind of like, I would say, like, this kind of matches that, like, Russell Crowe Unhinged kind of movie, which made money because, granted, because COVID, first movie that came out of COVID, people wanted to go to the theaters, and that made good money. I was confused by the trailer, but it's also JK, and JK doesn't really steer me wrong very rarely. So it's one of those where it's like, I might just check it out. I'm not expecting anything great, but I kind of want to see why his character does what he does and his motivations for it. But yeah, it was a weird trailer that popped up going, okay,
It's one's got no other names in it. The director's nobody. It's clearly going like straight to VOD, and it's like J.K. Simmons hit this point where he's actually putting out a lot of these like straight to video kind of movies. Just I assume paychecks, but I mean it's kind of like Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage puts out a lot of crap movies, but he always puts 100% into his movies. He's still entertaining in the movies, even if the movie sucks.
I feel like it's one of those things where JK is like, I don't want to say he's stuck, but he kind of gets casted in a certain type of way in every film. Mm-hmm. And this allows him to basically go out and do something different.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to cast JK as a serial killer? Or who's going to cast JK in a role like this? No one. So go out and do it. Same thing with Nick Cage. How many times have we gotten intrigued by a Nick Cage trailer? Because it's like, well, shit, I've never seen Nick Cage do that before. The movie ends up sucking. But it's him going out and saying, hey, I want to make this. Or I want to be this. And he'll go out and do it. And JK's kind of doing the same thing. It's not going to make money. If it might come out, like less than a month from now, we'll forget about it and not ever talk about it ever again outside of this moment here. But it was enough for me to go, okay, I want to see what JK can do with something like that. I want to see him take a bite out of this kind of role because I never got to see JK. The closest thing we got to JK being like this was Whiplash, and outside of just slapping Miles Teller in the face, it's not like he's going around killing people. So I'm intrigued to check it out.
All right, the next week, May 24th, we'll start off. We got Atlas, which is a Netflix movie with Jennifer Lopez, which I have not watched the second trailer, but you have. You said it makes it look even better.
It does, because it's an actual, because like with Netflix, you usually get a teaser, which doesn't really tell you anything about the story, but it just kind of gives you brief stuff, which I was like, I'm intrigued. The second one that just came out this past week, which I was going to talk about on the next episode of Movie Crusaders Chat, about which we probably still will, is definitely the story trailer that explains what's going on and why the story is happening and all this kind of stuff. And it actually made me a little more intrigued by it. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm so excited to check this out, but it's definitely is one of those where it's like, oh, hey, this came out this weekend. I actually want to watch this instead of just randomly stumbling upon it weeks later. But it looks like it's got money behind it. Nothing looks shitty or because it's very much like almost like a Titanfall. The way I described it was like Titanfall, but not the actual game Titanfall, but very much Titanfall-esque, where there's mechs and stuff like that. It's got her. It's got Simon Liu from Shang-Chi. Simu Liu.
Simu Liu, yeah.
Simu Liu. And Sterling K. Brown is in it. So I mean, it's people that I like. It looks like it's got some action to it. But yeah, it intrigued me enough to definitely want to check it out opening weekend.
Yeah, and then in theaters, you have Garfield, which, okay. I think Garfield has not been a popular character for 30 years. I don't see anybody being excited about the Garfield movie. Nobody buys Garfield merchandise. Nobody seeks out the Garfield comic strips. Who reads comic strips anymore? But they've made animated films from weirder things before, so why not try and bring this back? I saw the trailers, didn't laugh once. If anything, just made me roll my eyes that a movie like this can get made, whereas better movies can't get made.
You know why I think this movie's gonna make a ton of money?
Why?
You know what other movie has trailers that doesn't make me laugh at all, but makes $1 billion every summer? Despicable Me 4. And this will make that money too. You know why? Because it's a kid's movie, it's got pets in it, and it's got the old age factor, because old age people who did read newspapers every day and read the comic strips, who did watch the cartoon series like me when I was younger, will actually check it out and will want to see if it's worth a damn or not. Plus you got Chris Pratt, who I still enjoy. I know a lot of people just like turned off on him in the last year and a half for reasons I'm not going to get into. Samuel L. Jackson's in it. But I am not someone who's tired of the Garfield tropes. I always loved Garfield and Odie and John, so I'm really willing to check it out. But I think this one's actually going to be one of the bigger hits of the summer. I really do.
I mean, I think it will make some.
I feel
I
like
think it'll make some money. I just don't think it's going to be a huge blockbuster. I mean, like I was just looking up
right now. I'm telling you this right now. It's going to be one or the other. One is going to be the huge box office success, and one's going to be the disappointment. I can't figure out which one it's going to be. It's either going to be Garfield or it's going to be If. One of them is going to make way fucking more money than it's supposed to, and the other one's going to make good money, but it's going to be considered disappointment because they come out within a week of each other. I think Garfield is actually going to be the one, because it's a cartoon, is going to take the higher prize. You'll be surprised when we get to our top 10 where I've got Garfield. I think it's going to be a juggernaut this summer. I really do. But there is another movie that comes out. This is what I said. People are calling the Barbenheimer of the summer. It's Furiosa, Garfield. I'm trying to figure out some way to combine it.
I was like, what?
Yeah,
I'm not even going to give it a name because it's stupid to even think that this is anything like that. Yeah.
But yeah,
Furiosa, Mad Max Saga coming out.
Yes.
Again, another one, a highly anticipated movie. Mad Max Fury Road was an amazing film. It was great action. It had a great, very unique look to it, both in the look of it and the way it was filmed. Obviously, had great stunts to it, things like that. Everyone wanted to see another one. They heard they're gonna make a Furiosa film instead. Great. I love Charlize Theron. Let's do it. Oh wait, it's a prequel and it's not going to have her in it. But they got Anya Taylor-Joy. You get Chris Hemsworth in there. It looks amazing. I think that it's going to have some great action to it. I don't know if it will live up to Fury Road just because that's a high bar. But if it comes anywhere close to it, it's still just going to be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was someone who liked Mad Max Fury Road. I was not a fan of the original Mad Max films. I remember watching those.
I was never a big fan of those. Yeah.
I remember watching Mad Max Fury Road, or getting ready to watch it. And I was like, I'm going to go back and watch the Mad Maxes. And watching these going, what the fuck is this garbage? Like, people actually thought this shit was good. And I like Mel Gibson. The fucking Mad Max trilogy is dog shit. But I enjoyed Mad Max Fury Road. I didn't love it as much as everyone else did. I thought people were kind of blown out of proportion. Then I watched it like a year later. I was like, this is actually pretty fucking amazing. And I did want a sequel to it as well. I didn't want a prequel. I don't really care about young Furiosa at all. Now, I'm intrigued by the story where it ends in Fury Road. I would have loved a sequel, but you cast Anya Taylor-Joy, who I love. You cast Chris Hemsworth with the most obnoxious-looking fake nose. Like, they're trying to make sure that it doesn't look like Chris Hemsworth because he's the bad guy, and if it looks like Chris Hemsworth, then I guess he can't be bad, I guess is the reasoning for it. I don't know if this movie's going to be good, though. Like, it's George Miller. I'm sure it's gonna look fantastic. That's one guarantee. It's much like Zack Snyder. It's gonna look great. I just don't know if the movie's gonna be good. And that's the thing. Because every trailer I keep seeing of it, it looks fantastic, but it's not really making me go, ooh, yeah, I want to watch.
I will say one of the things about Fury Road that made it so people loved it so much, I mean, except for you apparently, is that it was so different. It was so different than everything. Well, you said it first, Shin.
I said I liked it. I just didn't understand the craziness behind it.
Yeah, but I mean, it was so different than everything you'd seen before, both from other movies and from especially from the previous Mad Max films. Whereas this one, it doesn't have that factor to it. And now it's like, okay, we're getting more of that same look, more of that same style, more of that same action, and that does not say it won't be good, but it does the uniqueness. It doesn't have the uniqueness that Mad Max Fury Road had.
Okay, so here's the best way to explain it. The way I feel about Mad Max Fury Road when it came out is the way you feel about Dune Part 2. That's how I felt. Like, it's good. It's good. It's not the greatest fucking thing ever that everyone was making it out to be when it came out that year. That's what I was just like, guys, like, calm the fuck. It's good. Calm down. It's not the way you feel about Dune 2 is the way I felt about Fury Road. I don't feel that way now. But that's what I felt like. So I know how you're going. I know what you're going through with the Dune Part 2 thing, but I'm on the other side. So I'm the one who thinks it's fucking amazing. You're like, it's, you'll watch Rebel Moon 10 times before you watch Dune Part 2. That irritates the shit out of me. But yeah, Furiosa, it's going to be a hit. It's going to. Except I just don't know if it's going to be good. But then again, you don't know if any of these movies are going to be good, but it hasn't it hasn't won me over yet. It just hasn't. But I mean, I'll be there opening weekend to see it regardless. If I'm looking at May 31st, this is a dead week.
It's kind of a week off. I don't know if it's because the previous week is Memorial Day weekend. So they thought, oh, the big movies come out, people are gonna be seeing stuff. Because this weekend, I mean, there's actually some releases. There's Robot Dreams, which is nominated for Best Animated Feature last year. It's finally getting a theatrical wide release in the U.S. Fine, whatever. Yeah, The Dead Don't Hurt, which I've seen some trailers for. It's a Western starring Viggo Mortensen and Garrett Dillahunt, which I actually think looks like it's a really good movie. It's not going to make any money. I feel like it's going to be in theaters for like a week and only in like big cities, but I'm still interested in seeing it. And
I've never seen a trailer for this, but you had me at Garrett Dillahunt as a cowboy. Because that was one of the best
if I recall, he's like one of the villains of it.
That was one of the best things of Fear the Walking Dead was Garrett Dillahunt, because he was basically a sheriff, and he was basically like playing like Timothy Olyphant's Justified through it, and he was phenomenal in it. So if you're gonna be giving me another part of that, I'd be willing to check that out. But I've not seen the trailer for that movie.
No, I think I saw the trailer for it. Basically, Viggo Mortensen is a Western. I think he goes off to war, fighting, I assume, the Civil War or whatever. By the time he comes back, his wife has been like attacked and raped by some guy in town, and he's like going on this revenge tour kind of thing. It looks like it's not like an action movie. It looks like it's almost more like an Unforgiven kind of feel to it. But I mean, it looks interesting. Like I said, based on the leads alone, I'm interested to see it. Just don't get it confused with The Dead Don't Die, because that's a horrible, different, shitty movie.
What is the movie that I was excited for 2 years ago? That was a Western. Did it have Natalie Portman in it?
Dead for $1? No, it wasn't Natalie Portman.
Was it Dead for $1?
Well,
I was so excited for it because I thought it was going to be fantastic, and then it
was filmed on somebody's camcorder.
Yeah, and it was just kind of I had such high hopes for that movie, and I feel like this is probably going to be another Dead for $1 situation.
Yeah, and then the other one coming out I remember that. Young Woman in the Sea, which is Daisy Ridley. Basically, somebody wants to swim the English Channel. I believe it's made by Disney, or at least
it is. I think it's also going to be a Disney Plus release as well.
Oh, on the same day?
Maybe.
Well, I know theatrical release just says limited, so it's possible. I don't know.
Maybe. But, yeah, I want to say it's a Disney Plus release.
But it looks like the kind of thing that maybe it's a good, dramatic movie. I personally have no interest in watching it.
I have no interest in either. But anything that makes Daisy Ridley look good, I'm happy for. I want her to do well. I mean, granted, we're going to get her back as Ray, but I want her to do well. I like her as a person. I want her to, prosper as an actress. And since the trilogy ended, I mean, you had her in like Orient Express and like Chaos Walking. Like, come on, Daisy. I'm rooting for you. I don't want to watch any of the stuff you've been doing, but I still want you to do well. Right. There's also Summer Camp, which is definitely not in our wheelhouse. It's basically like your old ladies comedy. And then there's Ezra, which is the
dramedy.
Yeah. The dramedy. I don't really care about any of those films. And like I said, this is the reason why I'm telling you that Garfield and Furiosa are going to keep rising because they have no competition the following week. Or even If that'll be week 3 for If. This is why I think that they're going to get a lot more money than you think, because they are not going to have any competition for 2 full weeks. But then we go into June. And we got one of our boys. We got our boys in June.
Bad Boys 4. We have multiple boys. Yes, but Bad Boys. We'll talk Bad Boys Ride or Die first. Bad Boys Ride or Die. The only question mark on this is what will Will Smith's shenanigans keep anybody away? I think that it will not. I think the kind of people that go see these movies don't give a shit about what anybody does in real life. They're not going to care about this. I mean, I can see it affecting his Oscar bait roles, like that. What was the slave one he did? Emancipated. I could see how it affected that. But the Bad Boys audience is like, whatever. Just give us some cool, fun action. The same directors returned for this from Bad Boys for Life, who I really liked the way they directed that, because it kind of they had that Michael Bay style, but kind of made it their own. Martin Lawrence still looks completely out of it, like he had a stroke or something again in this one, but the last one was good despite that. It'll be fun. I'm definitely hyped for this one.
Look, Will Smith had to slap a bitch because he was talking shit about his wife. He did it. Some people liked it. Some people hated it. The people who are going to be going to see Bad Boys are probably there for him for that. They're not the people going, how dare him slap Chris Rock. You know what? Sometimes I like Chris Rock, but sometimes bitch needs to get slapped, and he did. Will Smith is beloved by so many people, and Bad Boys is a I don't want to say it's a cult following, but I mean, because it's Michael Bay's boys and stuff like that. They're not cult films, but everyone loves the chemistry between Martin and Will, you know, and the action's fun. Granted, I wasn't a huge fan of 3, but I didn't hate it. I just, you know, compared to the first 2, I didn't like it. I still haven't seen it since it came in theaters. Like that tells me right there that I didn't love it as much as the other 2, because I've watched Bad Boys 2 and Bad Boys like unlimited amount of times. I have not seen Bad Boys 3 since the theaters, but I'm willing to be checking out Bad Boys 4. Obviously, I'll check out Bad Boys 5, 6, 7, 8. As long as they keep making them, I'm going to keep watching them because I love those characters. But yeah, I don't know if my excitement level is there like it was for the first 2 films. I think it's one of those reasons because they, you know, fuck, when did 2 come out? That 1 came out in 95. And it was, what, 10 years later for 2?
2003, actually, 2003.
I was gonna say it wasn't 10 years. Yeah, it was 8 years for the sequel, and then it was like fucking like 15 something years for the third one. And now, I mean, granted, this one's relatively quick compared to the others, but it's Bad Boys. You and I are gonna be there opening night because they're our boys, and we're gonna watch them. What else we got?
The Watchers from Ishana Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan's mini.
Yeah, we talked about the trailer recently, and I don't have anything much new to add to that discussion. Although again, it's one of those that the trailer did enough to intrigue me, and I'm gonna check it out. But
yeah, as long as it's
unknown quantity, I just hope there's not too much of a twist, because she will so just get herself pigeonholed. Yeah.
If it's got a twist, okay, but as long as it's not like The Fucking Village, where it's like all fake and it's like, oh yeah, it's just a really good reality show and all this bullshit, you know, and they don't call it out in the first 30 minutes, and you go, this fucking better not be the twist, and it ends up fucking being that twist, like The Happening. Then I'm intrigued by it. Like I said on our last episode of Chat About, I want Dakota Fanning to start standing out on her own 2 feet. Like, she was a phenomenal young actress, but since she's grown up, she just kind of is there, and she's too good of an actress to not be one of the top actresses in Hollywood. And I want to see her, you know, push forward. And this could be the stepping point to launch her back into that, or it could be the stepping point back down to, oh, hey, you know, you're VOD now. That's who you are. So it's an intriguing premise. We'll just see how she does, because it is an M. Night person after all. So is she going to follow like her father, or is she going to get on her own 2 feet and be unique and different? We'll find out. There's one movie that we are really excited about that comes out. Well, I'm really excited. You're excited for, and that's Hitman on Netflix. Our boy Glenn Powell, who we'll be talking about here in a little while. It's a I think until we saw the actual initial trailer, we were thinking this was going to be like an action film, and it's not. Very much of like a way we brought up, like almost like a Grosse Point Blank kind of thing, where it's kind of more of a comedy with rom-com action-y kind of capabilities. He plays this professor who pretends to be a hitman for, like, is it the FBI or the police or something like that?
Yeah, he's basically trying to help out with these stings to catch people who are trying to hire hitman.
Yeah, so he keeps like impersonating different versions of himself as a hitman until he meets this one woman that he's just head over heels about, and she wants him to kill her husband, but he doesn't want to really turn her in because he's crazy about her and all this, and then chaos ensues. It's Glenn Powell. He's gonna have fun. He's got the charm that all the up to a 10. It's gonna be fun. It's just, is it gonna be fun and enjoyable, or is it just gonna be like, I like this because I like Glenn Powell, but the rest of the movie was kind of like Anyone But You, where it's like, I love Glenn Powell, I didn't really like anybody else.
Yeah, Sydney Sweeney I hope her 50 minutes are up. But Glenn Powell, I like. Adria Arjona looks amazing. And to compare it to Grosse Point Blank is a very good thing. If it does have that tone, that's great, because I love Grosse Point Blank. So hopefully it works out.
Did you ever see Immaculate? Because I know you watch a lot more than I do. I heard she was phenomenal in that. Sydney Sweeney, that is.
Maybe she was. I was
Maybe, but I don't want to watch it. I really don't. But yeah.
Also that week we have formerly titled the Georgetown Project, but now just called the Exorcism with Russell Crowe.
Which I was going to talk about this on the next episode of Chat About, because it popped, because here's how my brain thought went into this. Like, I'm scrolling through YouTube, my own business, and I see the Exorcism and I see Russell Crowe's face. I'm like, I was talking to my girlfriend, I'm like, did they make a Pope's Exorcist sequel already? I was like, already? Damn, that was quick. I go, or is he just doing another Exorcism movie? He's doing another Exorcism movie, and he's not playing the Pope's Exorcist, or Gabriel, whatever his name is in it. It looks like. Did you watch the trailer for it?
Yeah, it's like they're filming a horror movie.
It's like they're shooting. It's like they're shooting The Exorcist.
Yeah,
and and like the lead in the movie? She's like, I'm not taking any precautions. About the curses that happen, on film sets like these, and he actually gets possessed by a demon in the film. And whether they shoot it while he's possessed, I would like that twist. Like, keep rolling. I'd actually would enjoy that aspect. I feel like, though, because it's summer, I'm not going to get this movie in my area. So I'm probably going to have to wait for it to pop up on digital before I can watch it. The cast doesn't really do much for me. It's just Russell Crowe. So I'm not expecting.
Well, it's one of those movies got it's got names to it. It's got Sam Worthington in it. It's got Samantha Mathis in it. It's got almost unrecognizable David Hyde Pierce is in it.
Yeah, David Hyde Pierce. I saw that. I was like, is it really him? Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was him until halfway through the trailer.
Yeah,
and I am surprised they're putting this out in the summer, because this is going to come and go in no time. So again, I feel like this is an advertisement for its VOD release or something. But the trailer actually I thought looked decent. It looks like something I want to check out. The Pope's Exorcist I actually enjoyed, but I think I enjoyed that mostly because of Russell Crowe's performance as character, because he was like almost in a different movie than everybody else in the movie, and I was there for it.
It's the most passionate I've seen him in a movie in a very long time.
Yeah, because he slipped into making a lot of these paycheck movies too.
Yeah.
But this one I saw the trailer for it, and I'll check it out. But it's not gonna do any serious business.
It's gonna be one of those where it's gonna come out and I'm gonna forget about it, because I probably won't get it in theaters near me, and then it'll pop up on digital when I'm like, oh yeah, that one. I don't want to pay to see it though, so I won't see it unless you go, hey, that Exorcism was actually pretty good, and then I'll check it out.
I mean, could they? I don't know if they could try to come up with a more generic title, though. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, like I said, that's why I thought it was just the Pope's Exorcist. It's like, oh, this must be a workshop title. It's like, oh no, it's something.
No, this is the new title. It was, like I said, it was the Georgetown Project.
Which I honestly think that would have been more intrigued by that than just the Exorcism.
Yeah, something.
I really would
have. The next week, there's really only one film coming out, and that is Inside.
I mean, would you want to go up against it?
I mean, I could see something with aiming for a total different audience going up against it.
Yeah.
Like, I could see him doing Furiosa against this or something like that.
Yeah, they got to deal with Garfield.
Yeah, Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2, sequel to Inside Out 1, obviously. That's really all you need to know about this movie. They're adding more characters, kids growing up and encountering new emotions. If you liked Inside Out 1, you're probably going to love this movie. Me, I would thought Inside Out 1 was okay. But then again, I'm not a big Pixar guy. I think this one will be okay too, but go ahead, Sean.
I loved Inside Out. I did not know we needed a sequel to this, much like most of the Pixar films. I think the only one that really needed a sequel was probably Toy Story and The Incredibles. And The Incredibles was a huge disappointment. And Toy Story is always amazing. So those ones worked.
Except 4. 4 sucked.
I love 4. Leave 4 alone. God damn, everyone hating on 4 for some dumbass reason. And about ready to get 5 coming out. Which, why? Let it die. Let Toy Story alone. Let it go retire. But Inside Out 2, I didn't think it was going to be a good idea coming back to do a sequel for this, but I actually like where they're going with this. Like, obviously, Riley is hitting adolescent age, so naturally she's going to have more emotions than just, disgust, fear, happy, angry, and sadness, or joy, not happy. So adding these new adolescent, like puberty kind of emotions and them kind of overtaking the OG 5 actually sounds super promising, and actually really has me locked in to be excited for this. And I wouldn't want to go up against it either. Just like no one's really going up against Despicable Me 4 in July. Like, that everyone's going to be going to see this that actually, likes these movies. And yes, you could drop a horror film or a raunchy comedy or something in this week, but this is going to take all the money. This is going to take all the money in its own, and it's probably going to take all the money the following week. Because the following week I see one movie as well, but this is that one that is something completely different. But yeah, Inside Out 2 is going to make the money. It's going to probably be the most profitable Pixar film in because Lightyear was a disappointment. What was Onward considered good? But no, because it got dinged.
Onward got cut short because of the
because of COVID. But it was gonna do well. So you got to go before that, which I guess would have been Toy Story 4. So it's probably gonna be the first real profitable movie since then. But yeah, no, Inside Out 2, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I hope so. Like I said, I thought Incredibles 2 was gonna be fucking amazing, and it was meh. So I'm hoping it sticks to landing again.
June 19th, there's a movie coming called Find Me Falling. I'm just going to mention this one offhand. It's looks like a rom-com music movie. Stars Harry Connick Jr. and some other people I haven't heard of. But so I think this is just one of those kind of looking for people who aren't into the action and maybe aren't the family audience. They always put out like one just like straight like romance movie out in theaters. This could be that. The fact that it's coming out on the 19th, I wonder if it's even coming to theaters. I don't have more information on that, but just wanted to mention that.
That's not even on my list over here.
Then I get to the 21st, where there's basically two movies coming out. One of them would have been pretty Kinds of Kindness. Probably would have just gone under the radar, except for the fact that Yorgos Lanthimos with Emma Stone just did pretty well at the Oscars. Obviously got a lot of critical acclaim. A lot of people really liked this movie. Apparently they were already filming this movie when that one was being released. It also stars Jesse Plemons, Willem Dafoe, Margaret Qualley, and a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah, phenomenal cast. I have no fucking idea what this movie is about because the teaser gave nothing away.
Yeah, and Yorgos Lanthimos is very hit and miss for me. There are movies I like, and there are movies I really, really don't like. So, yeah, I don't have much more to say on this at the moment.
I've only seen two movies of his, and that was The Favorite, which I thought was fine. And then, of course, Poor Things, which I thought was fantastic.
So you've seen the better ones, because the other ones get really, really weird, and I'm not really big fans of those. But that's just my tastes. The other one finally coming, is The Bikeriders. This is a movie that's supposed to come out last year. Got pulled from the schedule. They got sold to a different studio, I believe. I don't even know who has it now. And now it's finally coming out in all their bad, accent glory. The story looks interesting, and I like the cast. It's got Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, Jodie Comer, Michael Shannon, I think, is in there. Some other people. So I like the cast.
There's a lot of people in this movie.
I just, couldn't they go in and do some ADR, and especially Jodie Comer, just change her accent? I don't know, but that's just
Jodie Comer. Oh God, who did I say she was trying to sound like? Oh man, because we saw the first trailer. I was like, she's doing her best to sound. Ghostbusters.
Annie Potts?
Yeah, she's trying to sound like Annie Potts, and Tom Hardy's trying to sound like Brando. He's 1,000% doing a Brando impression. The one person, or you cast two people in this that can't do their own voice, which is Tom Hardy and Austin Butler. But yeah, Austin Butler actually sounds like he's trying to be Austin Butler, and then Tom Hardy's, I'm going Marlon Brando with this shit. If we can get past the voices, this could be a great film. It really could. Because as I watched the trailer, I just couldn't get past the voices while watching the trailer. I was like, this has the ability to be like a dramatic, like Sons of Anarchy-esque kind of thing, because it's a biker gang and stuff like that. But if the voices are so utterly ridiculous, then it's gonna die before it even starts. It really is. But I mean, we thought the movie was going to come out last year. It got pushed. Then the writer's strike, it got dropped, and we're like,
I believe it was originally a Fox project. So it got finished and stuff, but Disney owned it. They sold it. It looks like now it belongs to New Regency Pictures, who is a smaller studio, but still coming out. They put out like Birdman, Lighthouse, The Revenant, stuff like that. So.
Which, I mean, those names are Oscar favorites, so this could very well be one of those that we talked about at the end of the year around Oscar time. But it's also June, and that's usually too early to talk about Oscars. But there's the occasional ones that keep their feet going all the way to the end of the year. But yeah, the cast is incredibly strong for this. It's just more or less the voices and is the story going to stick the landing? I think the story can. It's just the performances, which should be good, but they could be very distracting. Anything else that I don't think there's anything else that week.
That was the only
Okay.
notable movies coming out that week. Yeah.
All right.
Which brings us to the last week of June 28th, which seems like we breezed through June after a long time on May. That kind of shows how front-loaded this summer might be.
Yeah.
June 28th, there's essentially two major films coming out. One of them being Kevin Costner's Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1, with, again, Chapter 2 to become later. I don't know if there's an exact date, but later this year. Chapter 2
I thought it was August, or it was in either August or September.
I want to say it was likely August, something like that.
I'll look it up. Oh, you're August 16th.
Okay. So Horizon coming out then. This is one, again, we talked about the trailer on the movie Crusaders. It looks like a TV miniseries, and I don't mean that in a good way, but Kevin Costner, a lot of people haven't liked some of the films. I mean, Dance with Wolves, great. Open Range, I think, is underrated. I think it's a great movie. A lot of people didn't like Postman. He does get a little self-indulgent. His movies do tend to be too long, and this one apparently is making two very long movies. But I mean, they usually look good, and it's got a big cast to it, which is worth checking out. I just don't know if I need two chapters of it, but that's the trailer. I don't know if they'll put out a second trailer or not. That first one, like I think you and I agreed, just did not do it for us.
Here's what I think. I think this is actually going to make a ton of money. I don't think it's going to crack the top 10, but I feel like it's going to be in that top 15. I feel that this is going to grab the Yellowstone crowd because of Costner, and it's also going to grab that No Sound of Freedom crowd. Is it No Sound of Freedom?
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom. The crowd that we were like, why the fuck is this movie making as much money? I feel like it's going to merge those two crowds together, and I feel it's going to have a very strong, 2-3 weeks, and then it's either going to just continually crawl or it's going to die. But I feel like it's going to have a strong 2-3 weeks. Now, whether the sequel is going to or not is an entirely different situation. But I feel like you're going to get that Yellowstone crowd, obviously, but that Sound of Freedom crowd. I think.
But I think a lot of the Yellowstone crowd, especially being older people, having an older, average audience age demographic. I think a lot of people are like, well, I can watch Kevin Costner in his westerns here at home. I can watch Yellowstone. I think a lot of those people don't run out to the theaters unless it's something that really pulls them out. So I mean, it'll make some
that thing that pulls them out.
But I don't think that's going to do it. But I
think it's going to do better than you think.
I honestly also think that Chapter 1 might scare people off. They'll be like, oh, well, I'll wait and just watch them both at once later on.
You could do that too, which means that it will get a late surge in August.
Possibly.
Yeah.
The other one being A Quiet Place Day 1. Now, this is not A Quiet Place Part 3, which is still apparently coming farther down the line. This is not directed by John Krasinski, but this is A Quiet Place Day 1, which is actually the movie I've wanted to see ever since. I didn't want Quiet Place Part 2. I mean, it was a decent movie, but I wanted Day 1. And we got that in the first 15 minutes or so of that movie.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see that when all shit broke loose. And this isn't a small town. This is in the middle of is it New York City? Did we ever figure that out?
It looked like New York City,
I think
but it could also be Chicago or something as well. But I want to say it's New York City.
Yeah, it's the director.
It is New York City. It is New York City.
Yeah, it's the director who directed Pig, which was a surprisingly good movie. Now he hasn't obviously taken on a big sci-fi blockbuster like this, but the trailers look intriguing. The cast, of course, we got Lupita Nyong'o, who's always great. Joseph Quinn, who he's about to break out. I mean, obviously, Stranger Things was a huge thing for him, but now with this, and then of course, Fantastic Four, I think he's gonna break out pretty big very soon. Jaimin Hansu returns in this movie. So in the trailer, I thought was very well done. It definitely has me interested.
At least we know Jaimin Hansu survives.
Yes.
No, he survives because he was in part 2.
No, it's his twin brother. No.
What a twist. Yeah, Quiet Place. Loved the first one. Thought the first one was fantastic. Second one I thought was good, but I had issues with it. This one I feel like is either going to be really good money wise because we haven't really had a horror movie since I think Tarot, back in early May. So I feel like what's that?
Exorcism, but it's not gonna be a blockbuster kind of thing.
Yeah. So I feel like you're gonna get that sci-fi horror crowd that's just really wanting something in the summer. But I also see it faltering because it isn't Emily Blunt and Krasinski directing. Now, granted, like I said, Lupita, I love Lupita, Joseph Quinn, Jaimin Hansu. I like the cast. I like the day one aesthetic of it as well. But not having Blunt and now Cillian Murphy, because Cillian Murphy was in the sequel, and the OG cast, and having it kind of just be taking place somewhere else, kind of like a Fear the Walking Dead kind of thing. Maybe it won't get the crowd that we're expecting out of it unless it's really awesome. But I feel like also because it is day one, it might win the people over who are really just wanting to see Quiet Place Part 3. I don't know. This one could go either way. But I'm excited for it because I like Quiet Place. And I want to see the day one stuff just like you did. Because that first 15 minutes of Quiet Place Part 2 was the best part of the sequel. Now seeing it, with all the way through, I'm sure there'll be Easter eggs and teases to the OG because Jaimin Hansu, like I said, he's in the second one. So maybe we'll get some kind of tease with them in there, and they just don't want to give it away. But I'm going to be there to see it because, yeah, it's a Quiet Place, of course. And you have to see that in theaters. I loved the experience that I had when I saw the first one. I think everyone loved the motherfucker, shut the baby up. Like, shut the baby. Just like
that's one of those things that I think that anybody who watched this at home, I mean, obviously you probably still enjoyed the movie, but you missed. There's something about the theatrical experience on things like that where it's like, I remember this in the first Mission Impossible movie and some other movies like that, where it's like, you're so into the movie and you're into that, and somebody makes a noise like, just like,
yeah. That's how I knew that this movie was going to be a success. Like, she's fucking giving birth in a bathtub. You're like,
yeah,
there's no way she's surviving. Oh my god, the pain that Emily Blunt is showing right now, and she has to be quiet because it's on the stairs, and it's just like, yeah, that movie was so the first one was so fucking good. I hope this can. I don't think this is gonna match that because that was the greatness of the first one was because it was so secluded out on a farm, and the slightest noise was like you're holding your breath through the whole film. They're in the city. It's loud. It's just going to be, chaos.
That's why I think this will be closer to an action sci-fi. I think this is going to be more
like super crazy, like intense, like suffocatingly quiet until maybe third act because they got to figure out, we have to be quiet.
Yeah, because people don't know. We have to probably watch in this movie how they figure out, until people start figuring out that's what attracts them.
And obviously we're going to probably the noisiest city in the US, so everyone's going to fucking die. But yeah. Going to July now.
Sean's favorite film of the summer.
Oh, I love this franchise. Fucking Despicable Me 4. I have nothing to fucking say about this, so go ahead.
I will say, because the first one came out and I had no interest in it. I'm like, this looks like every other animated film. It looks stupid. I don't want to. I watched it. I was actually quite amused by it. I actually liked the relationship with Gru and the three daughters, things like that. Especially three daughters. I really liked them. The minions were clearly just thrown in like, oh, look at the funny yellow thing making the joke. That was clearly aimed at the younger audience. But I enjoyed it. 2, I enjoyed. 3, even I enjoyed to some extent. Then they make the Minions movies, and I'm like, I don't care about the Minions. But the first Minions movie made like $1 billion in theaters, and I'm like, okay, it wasn't good, but okay, whatever. Then they came out with another one. Actually, got delayed several times. They finally came out with Minions: Rise of Gru, and I'm like, okay, Despicable Me. It's already had its peak. It's I think people are over this. Nobody talks about this franchise much anymore. That one almost made $1 billion. I'm like, really? Holy shit! Why are people going to see these movies? So. This
people
one,
just want to watch the stupid fucking Minions.
This one, I don't care about at all. From somebody who actually, to some degree at least, enjoyed the first 3 movies, I have no interest at all in this movie. But it's gonna make a ton of money whether I like it or not.
I guarantee you right now. And I only saw the first 2 Despicable Me's, and I saw the first Minions, and I was like, I'm done. I have no interest in wanting to watch a single fucking frame of this ever again. I guarantee you could go up to the waiting line for Despicable Me 4 on opening night. And you have all these people waiting in line to go see it. You can go, can you name the 3 kids? Can you name his wife? They're not going to be able to name all of them. Because you know why? Because no one cares about Gru and the family and the kids. All they want to do is watch the stupid fucking Minions. That's all they want to care about. I guarantee you they'll know all the Minion names that actually have names. like Kevin or something like that. But I guarantee you, they won't be able to name the kids at all, or the wife that was in the second one, or that became that Falcon Point. That was the second one that she popped in.
Well, this is the wife in the second one. But the problem with the Despicable Me franchise is the Minions. In the first movie, the Minions were just kind of there in the background. Once in a while, they popped up and did something funny, and it was like a little bit of moment of comedy, and it worked. But then as it went on, they put more of them in the second one. They were pretty much entirely, the third one was almost about them. And then, of course, they went off and just made Minions movies. And that's the problem is, like, I think that if they made, like, if they want to do like the old days, make Minions shorts, or like Pixar does, make Minions shorts.
I wouldn't care that much.
That come before of, animated films from who is this?
Illumination.
If they want to do little Minions shorts before Illumination films, I think Minions movie shorts could be hilarious, but I don't want to see a whole fucking movie of these guys anymore. I'm just done.
No, they start to bleed through the entire plot where you can't have a single scene without one of them showing up and doing something. Yeah. Which at that point, it's not a script for a movie. It's just it's like, look, minion. You know what the minions are to you? It's Grogu. Yeah. Grogu is your minions, because you're like, God, I hope they fucking kill Grogu. It's like, they're not gonna kill Grogu. Grogu is the moneymaker for Star Wars right now. He ain't going nowhere.
That's the reason I can't blame Illumination for making this movie, because people
because there's 1,000 minions. There's only one Grogu. There's only one.
But they're gonna make so much money on this movie, so I can't really blame them for making it. But it's just at the same time, it's like, oh God.
And Steve Carell is just raking in the cash.
Yeah,
it's such an easy role for him to do. So easy for him to do. He's just gonna roll in the dough for the rest of his life because of that. I will not watch this movie. I will not go remotely near this fucking film.
I want to throw in a mention of one other movie that's opening that day, which I don't know how wide it will get released. It's a movie called Kill. This is an Indian film. Apparently, it's the biggest, bloodiest, goriest action film in Indian movie history. That's even trailers even tell you that. It basically looks like the Raid 2, The Night Comes for Us, maybe even Boy Kills World. It's that, but done Indian. And honestly, the trailer looked pretty fucking awesome. Just based on the trailer, I want to go see this movie. I know you. I think you even heard of this movie. Probably.
I think I saw I think I watched the trailer when I was doing a trailer dump like last week, but it didn't do anything to make me go, ooh. It was just like, okay.
See, I was sold on it, so I'm gonna check it out. And then the other movie coming out that week, not in theaters but on Netflix, it exists apparently, is Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F.
I don't even have that in my release schedule.
Yeah, it comes out. It's coming out July 3rd. Finally. It could be hilarious. It could be a complete flop.
It could be Coming to America too.
Anywhere in between. I don't even know what to think of this movie, because everybody, we've always wanted Eddie Murphy to like make a comeback and be the comedic genius and have a lot of fun in movies instead of just doing these family films or just animated voices, things like that. And so they thought, well, what better way to do it than go back to your old character of Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop, and he's doing it now.
Kind of feel desperate.
I don't even know. I think we've seen a full trailer for it yet.
We have not gotten a story trailer for it yet. Well, we've got was the initial.
Netflix only puts them out like a month ahead of time, so I think we'll see one sometime in May.
Probably will.
Late May, early June.
If we got Atlas's trailer this week and that came out in May, we may not get Axel Foley's until June.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I mean, again, this is a coin flip. I'm gonna watch it. I'm kind of excited.
I'm gonna watch it too.
But at the same time, I'm going in knowing it could be good or bad.
I like that Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in it. I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt, so I like that he's in it. Judge Reinhold did not look good in the trailer, but I like that they got them back. I don't know how. I don't want it to be like a situation where it's like the Ghostbusters. Actually, I hope it is like the Ghostbusters, where they just come in for like a little moment here, but not are like a huge focal point of the film, because there's a reason why they don't really act anymore, because they're not that good anymore. So if they just kind of pop in, pop out, but it's one of those things where it's like Eddie doesn't look old. He doesn't. Eddie looks the same way he's looked for like the last fucking decade, 2 decades. Can he still do action? I don't know. We're gonna fucking find out. When was the last action movie that Eddie Murphy did? Was it Metro?
Couldn't even tell you.
Technically, I guess maybe Haunted Mansion. I don't fucking know. I haven't seen him do an action movie in 20 years. So I don't know how the action's going to look. And that's honestly going to be probably one of the big deciding factors of if this movie is going to be good or not, is the action working around him, or is he actually a part of it? So we're going to see that same thing with Bad Boys, is Will Smith's doing the action and the action's kind of revolving around Martin. Is it going to be the same thing with Eddie? Is the action just moving around him, or is he actually going to be a part of it? And then is it going to have that flair, that style, that R-rated, kind of like cocky assholeness of Axel Foley? If it does, it could work. If it's going to be, kind of like this PG era, 2024, where Eddie's going to have to watch what he says and shit so he doesn't offend everyone. It's
honestly, I think the best thing they could do is lean into that. Have him say a bunch of politically incorrect stuff, and have everybody around him comments on him going, I don't give a shit. That'd be the best thing they could do to it.
Well, you can make Axel Foley Demolition Man at that point.
Essentially,
censored, and he's
but I mean, the fact they're adding in, Kevin Bacon, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, these people, I'm hoping it's good. I did try to look up the director to see if it would give me some confidence in the action. He hasn't done anything.
You did leave out one other movie that comes out that weekend.
Well, that comes out on the Friday. I wasn't there yet because these all came out
for the weekend. So I was like, before we jump ahead,
everything we've said comes out on the 3rd because they want it out before the holiday, and then on the 5th is Maxxxine. Go ahead.
Yeah, Maxxxine. People who are fans of X and Pearl. This is the actual sequel to X. Follows the same character that oh god, what's her name? Mia Goth. Same character from X in this. She basically is, I guess, was doing more X-rated films, but now she's trying to do like a real movie. But it's also around the time of, isn't it like Summer of Sam? Is it a Summer of Sam?
Impression, or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's around that time frame too. So there's this whole like, is she involved in it, or is she a victim, or is she the next potential victim? But she's trying to, move on from R-rated or not R-rated films, porn to stardom. But she has that past from X. At least that's how they gave it off in the one trailer that we did get. X I thought was fine. I think Pearl was, performance-wise, she's great, but I didn't really give a shit about the film in itself. I feel like people are really trying to make this franchise way bigger than what it fucking is. It really isn't. Is this amazing horror?
It didn't need more than one film. Yeah,
it did. So, and a lot of people try to talk it up like this is big genre, but these films don't make that much money. They are the epitome of cult favorites or cult films. Like, they don't make more than 20 mil. But the aesthetics of this one actually intrigued me more than the previous two films. So I'm intrigued to check out Maxxxine. I am not expecting to be blown away by this by any means. But of the 3 films to come out outside of X, just because of porno aesthetic, and it had Brittany Snow. This is the first one that actually goes, this movie actually could be good. It could be good. I don't know if it will, but it has potential.
I will say that I had zero interest in it. I never saw Pearl. I had no interest in this movie. I saw the trailer and I'm like, maybe I'll check it out. So I guess the trailer did its job.
You don't need to see Pearl.
I don't plan it.
Yeah.
Moving on, July 12th, a couple movies coming out. First of all, I'll just give a mention to, if you have kids, might want to see this on Disney Channel. There's a new Descendants movie, The Rise of Red. Also coming out that day, on July 12th, is Fly Me to the Moon, which is listed as a comedy romance starring Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum, Woody Harrelson. This is another one we talked about the trailer just recently on
Chat About.
And this is another one that came out of nowhere. I mean, I think I heard it was a movie coming out. I think it was originally called Project Artemis. It wasn't until the trailer came out that we saw it had a new title on it. It looks fun. I mean, Channing Tatum, I've honestly grown to really like him, especially when he's leaning into the comedy. I know this one's got a little romance to it too, but it looks like it's got some comedy to it. Scarlett Johansson, it's always nice to see her. Color me interested. Yeah.
Yeah, I said this during chat about this. Feels like almost like an Adam McKay kind of comedy. Like I said, I love Scarlett Johansson when she can lean into the comedy because she's very funny.
Mhm.
Like we saw that in Jojo Rabbit. As serious as that movie was, she was a delight in the comedic moments. Channing Tatum, that's comedy is what made us love him. Like I remember we were all just like, ugh, Channing Tatum. I was like, this motherfucker's actually really funny. And he's some of the highlights in 90% of the movies that he pops up in his comedy. He sees some of the highlights. I was just watching Free Guy the other night, and I was just like remembering just how damn
Oh,
funny
yeah.
he was in that movie. Or even Bullet Train. Like, is this a sex thing? Is this a sex thing? It was just he's so good. And this one, he's kind of playing more like the straight man in it, but him being more of aloof to the comedy also makes him even funnier. So this could be a surprise hit. I don't know. I hope so. But we'll find out. The other film that comes out, I still have no idea what this is, and that's Longlegs. I keep seeing like teasers of them, but no like actual trailers. I'm not quite sure what this movie is.
Yeah, no, this is one actually I didn't know a lot about. It's like a typical, kind of atmospheric horror film coming out again. I don't know if it's PG-13 or what. Until I started seeing the marketing campaign, and it's doing something they haven't done in a long time. It's almost kind of like this guerrilla marketing campaign. They've been releasing these little teasers where it's got like the coded message, things like that, which I mean, me and other people online were like trying to figure out that, decode the messages and stuff. And basically it ended up just being like, release dates and things like that. But I mean, it seems like it's kind of some kind of like a cult. I don't know if there's supernatural element to it or not, but it's also just kind of a murder mystery to it. And it's one of those movies that's got just a great atmosphere to it. So it's one that, really kind of could have gone under the radar. Nicolas Cage is in it, although I don't know how big a role he has in it, but Micah Monroe is kind of one of the main characters. I've always liked her. Um, so yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes. If it's a crime film, if it's supernatural, whatever it ends up being, I'm interested.
Okay, I just got a small synopsis of it.
Okay.
It says FBI agent Lee Harker is assigned to an unsolved serial killer case that takes an unexpected turn, revealing evidence of the occult. Harker discovers a personal connection to the killer and must stop him before he strikes again. And is it Micah? Micah, who from It Follows. Ugh.
Yeah.
She plays Lee Harker. I'm assuming Nick Cage is the killer. I'm assuming.
He has no name listed on it, so I assume he is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's. That's the only thing that makes fucking sense with this. But yeah, you also got Blair Underwood. That's really the only other name that really sticks out to me that I know. So there's a tiny premise of it right there, but yeah, the marketing of this has been really well done. I'm waiting for a legitimate trailer, or if they're just gonna keep doing these teaser things, that even actually makes it more intriguing to me to want to check it out. By them not outright coming out and giving us a legit trailer for it, but they're doing a good job of piquing the interest for it.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to compare it. I don't know if it's gonna be quality wise, but atmospherically, it has a real Silence of the Lambs feel to me. But that's just
yeah,
me.
I agree.
Then we're moving on to all right. We're getting to the good stuff now. July 19th. I only have one movie listed, but it's a big one. That is Twisters.
Hell yeah!
It's the not a reboot, not a sequel, not a reimagining. Who knows what the fuck they're doing with it? To the original Twister, which I loved. They're gonna make another one. I'm there for it. I love, just destruction films, natural disasters kind of things to start with. Then you add on to the fact you put in Glenn Powell in a lead role. I'm there for that. Daisy Edgar Jones, I like. Maura Tierney is in there. Anthony Ramos is in there from, like In the Heights, stuff like that. Love him. The trailer looks great. Again, it's kind of, you can't really tell from the trailer if it's trying to be a reboot or what it's trying to do. But it's Glenn being in all charming, glory. And the action looks great. So I'm actually hope I don't see another trailer for this. I'm sure we will, but I kind of don't need one. I'll just go into it as is.
Only connective tissue we see from this and the first one is Dorothy. Because Dorothy shows up. We don't know if Dorothy is a new invention to them or if they're using it because of old tech or something like that. There's been rumors that Daisy Edgar Jones is playing Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt's daughter. That's kind of been also debunked, but also was it really? We're
Well,
not
that's one of those
quite
things
sure.
where it's like, yes, they've debunked it, but at the same time, are they just saying that so they, keep the
Exactly.
surprise? We don't
It's
know
just like
anymore.
another thing like Andrew Garfield. I'm not in No Way Home, guys. Huh? Bye. Kind of thing. I mean,
I mean, it's a
nowhere
no-win
on the
situation for them. They got to lie or they
yeah.
got, yeah. So
But yeah, there's I liked everything I saw out of this trailer. I like that Glenn Powell is playing Glenn Powell, but like
yep.
a cowboy kind of thing. There's some new things they showed in it. Like I liked how there's that one scene where like they're riding right into the tornado and they put the augers into the ground to stay put. I was like, oh, that's
Mhm.
actually really fucking clever. The end of the movie, they have a callback to the iconic drive-in thing where it looks like it's ripping through a movie theater. So it's got a callback there. The only part I hated of the trailer was the one guy going, "It's twins!" Like, oh god, that was so cringy. But it probably is gonna work. It's probably gonna work in the movie. I just hated it in the fucking trailer. But yeah, we both love Twister. We talked about it on Weekend Crusaders or Weekly Crusaders. Is a
I'm
movie
still
that
holding
we
out hope that we get like a one, even if it's a one night only re-release in theaters. I want to see it back in theaters before this one comes
I
out.
would love to see Twister back in theaters.
Yeah.
And if it was especially if it was a drive-in.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Put Twister in the drive-in, and heaven forbid it's a night when it's storming. But yeah, I'm so excited for this. I remember the first time we heard this, we're like, really? Are we actually getting the sequel to this? We're like, well, Glenn Powell's dead. So, seriously? Oh, like before we heard anything else, all we heard was Twisters and Glenn Powell, and
Yeah,
you and I were already here. Like
we're sold.
you could have put Amy Schumer in it or people that we couldn't stand. And we'd be like, it's still Twisters, it's still Glenn Powell. Maybe Amy Schumer, dies in the opening scene and it's funny. Like maybe we'll get something like that. Or hell, Rebecca Hall. You put people in there we just don't like. I don't care. It's still Twisters. It's Glenn Powell. I'm there. I wish this got released a week earlier.
Yeah,
So
this
that way
movie
we
has
get
a week to
so
make
that
its
way we
money.
get 2 weeks
Yeah,
of good things before next week. Because as much as I love Twisters, it's not gonna make jack shit the following week because the biggest movie of the summer, potentially of the year, comes out on July 26th. It is both you and I's most anticipated film of the year, and that's Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, what's there to say that we haven't already said ad nauseum on Chat About with this? We just got the first legitimate trailer last week. I was trying not to watch it, but I just broke down and did. But you and I are both in agreement. It was the best version of the trailer we could get because they didn't really give anything away. We got Hugh Jackman back as Logan, Wolverine himself. A character, my favorite comic book character of all time is Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds is phenomenal as Deadpool. Putting those two together, it's something that was just a joke in Deadpool. Hell, it was a joke in X-Men Origins Wolverine of Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine teaming up together. And then it was just a little joke here and there. It was like a nice little just like nudge joke, like, oh, it's funny. And then all of a sudden, like, oh my god, this is actually a real fucking thing. They're actually gonna fucking put these guys in a movie together. Oh my god, I can't be more excited for this. And then you put Logan in the yellow and blue, especially right around the time when X-Men 97 is going on right now, where we get to watch him in animated form, and now we're gonna see it in live action form. I mean, I this could be the worst feeling ever if this movie's dog shit. It's not. It's not gonna be because
it
it's
won't be
got.
dog shit, but I could see it disappointing us. I could see it like not being everything we want it to be. But
Here's why I have more hope for it than I did Deadpool 2, because Deadpool 2 was like that. It was like up here, and Deadpool 2 never matched that for me. So I always just kind of look at Deadpool as like, you're okay. And even Deadpool 1, I think if you go back and rewatch it now, Deadpool isn't that. It's average to good. It's not that great. It's a very
I disagree wholeheartedly. But okay.
it's a basic movie. It's great because it's Ryan Reynolds doing Deadpool to the nth degree, but the actual story itself is very bare bones, very basic. The final fight, everything there It's
Well,
very
the movie's about the character. It's not about the
yeah,
story. That one,
it's a
yeah,
very basic film that is riding the wave of Ryan Reynolds' performance.
Mhm.
But without that performance, this movie's not. It's not anything. Deadpool 2 tries to do more. It just doesn't. It doesn't match the expectations that I had for it. The reason why I'm more confident in this is A, once again, Ryan Reynolds, but B, Hugh Jackman, but C, Sean Levy as director. I love Sean Levy as a director. He gave us Free Guy. He gave us the Adam Project. He gave us the Night of the Museum movies, which are always solid films. Whether you like them or dislike them, they're all solid. But Sean Levy knows how to work with Ryan Reynolds. He also knows how to work with Hugh Jackman with Real Steel, which is a criminally underrated good film. I think this is kind of a perfect trio. It's also the first R-rated MCU film, even though Brian likes to consider it not to be MCU at all, but it is to a point. It's gonna open doors. It is.
Yeah.
I could not be any more excited for this film.
Yeah, I mean, you get more Deadpool, which we want more Deadpool.
Yeah.
You get Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine. As much as we loved the way he went out in Logan, you wouldn't want to sully that. But this is clearly it's a different thing. It doesn't take away from that because it's clearly like on a different plane.
Yeah,
it's like a meta
and the
comment.
people who don't understand that, just sit down, be quiet. Like, it's not the same Logan, guys. It's a different Logan. Calm the fuck down. I'm so tired of people. You're gonna sully what Logan was. It's not.
It's not. So you get this. And then I think that the whole Disney Fox thing is the best thing that could have happened to this movie because we clearly, I mean, we already heard this, but clearly Disney and Kevin Feige and them are not asking them to tone down anything. They're going as hardcore as they ever did, and they've said that. And clearly from the trailer, you can tell that they're letting them just do whatever they want. But then on top of that, so it didn't hurt them to being bought up by Disney. But then on top of that, you give him so much more material where you can comment on Disney and Fox. You can talk about the collapse of the Fox universe, which is apparently a thing in this. You can tell from the logo in the background.
You see it where they're fighting each other,
and things like that. So I think it gets given so much more material to work with. But I will say the one thing I am almost as excited as the movie, I can't wait to see the promotion for this movie. Because Ryan Reynolds, for the first two Deadpool movies, had so much fun, whether it be billboards or just little spots on YouTube or whatever they were. He had so much fun. That stuff was almost as fun, if not even in some cases more fun than the movies themselves. And now you get to add in the whole thing with Hugh Jackman. It's going to be gold.
I mean, he already says that he wants to do a popcorn bucket that's crazier than Dune Part 2. And Dune Part 2's popcorn bucket, I'm sorry, guys, it was basically a pocket pussy. It really was.
No one disagrees with you on that.
No one disagrees. But he goes, "We're gonna make that bucket blush." And I'm like, I've seen mock-ups of what people's thought is. It's crazy.
Yeah. But this is gonna make some money, and I think it'll be. I kind of think this is like Fall Guy. For me, I'm sure it will be good. I'm sure it'll be fun. It's just a matter of how fun it will be. If it will live up to or exceed the expectations, we don't know.
Now we go to August. Now, sometimes August is a very dead month, and then other times August is, hey, we're coming out swinging to end the summer. I feel like with this, it's kind of in the middle. It kind of just depends on how the movies play. Because there's some movies in here that I'm actually excited to see, and there's others where I could give a rat's ass, and it would have to shock me on whether they're good or not. I would say it's a better August than last year, because last year there was like nothing in August or September. Like, we didn't talk about anything for like 2 months last year. There was just nothing worth talking about through the entire month of August and September. But there is definitely at least some movies to talk about in August this year. August 2nd, I'll get this one out of the way because I know you have no interest in it. Harold and the Purple. Say it because you're not gonna make fun of me this time.
Crayon.
Zachary Levi. I love Zachary Levi. I remember we were talking about this, I think, at the beginning of the year, anticipated. I brought up, be like, it's probably going to be animated. I was like, I think it's going to be live action. And it is live. It's both, actually. It's animated and live action. Like, it's animated in his world, and then he, like, draws into our world, and then it becomes live action. This movie, a lot like If, could be super fun. It depends on how they go with it in the film. The first trailer, I thought was promising. I thought it was very promising. It didn't like blow me away or get me overly excited. Excuse me. But it definitely made me feel more optimistic for it than what I initially thought, which is probably just gonna be, oh, it's a kiddie, cartoon like Curious George or something they'll throw out in August to get some people in. But I'm definitely intrigued to check it out. I don't know if you have any thoughts about this movie at all.
I don't. Again, this is another movie that I think just I'm not the audience for it. I like Zachary Levi for the most part. It looks like basically a kid's version of Green Lantern, which is kind of like, oh, I can think up this and we can make a plane and we'll fly it around the plane.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. That doesn't make it bad.
That's exactly what it is. Well, you see Green Lantern? Come on.
I'm talking, but I'm not. Don't bring that movie into it. Green Lantern is a character of his own.
So it again. This is. I mean, at this point, you're a month and a half away from Inside Out too. So I mean, maybe the family audience will be looking for something new to see. Oh, there's Despicable Me 4 though. Even that's been out for a month at this point. So the family audience will be looking for something to see. So it might do well. Again, I'm just not the audience for it.
I feel like it'll get that push to school year. Hey, let's go see some movies before we go back to school. Hey, Harold and the Purple Crayon. The only other movie I saw that week is a movie called Cocoon. I don't know anything about this. All I know is Dan Stevens is the villain in it, and I'm locked in already for it. Did you not know this movie existed?
I can't even find this movie.
Or it's not Cuckoo. It's Cuckoo.
Oh, Cuckoo.
Cuckoo.
Cuckoo Club.
I'm reading it wrong. I'm reading it wrong.
But there's a Cocoon, and so I'm like, I don't know what movie you're talking about.
My bad.
Yeah.
Cuckoo.
Yeah, no, Cuckoo. It was originally scheduled for the following week, but it just got bumped up to this August 2nd, like in the past week or so. They moved this movie. Yeah, I don't know anything about this movie, but Dan Stevens alone is enough to get me to go see it.
All I know is Dan Stevens is the villain in this, and that's all I need to know. I don't need to know anything else about this movie.
Yeah,
I know there's a trailer. I have not watched it, but knowing that Dan Stevens is the antagonist in this, I'm sold. Because if he's anything like the guest or anything like that.
Yeah, did you read the logline at all?
No.
Because all it says is a 17-year-old girl is forced to move with her family to a resort where things are not what they seem. So they give you very little to go on. My understanding is it's classified as a horror thriller. So check it out.
Dan Stevens. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
Dan Stevens.
There's one more. I have one more for that day.
35 millimeter. I saw that too. It's also shot in 35 millimeter. I saw that too.
I don't care about that.
I'm talking about that old school aesthetic.
I do have one other movie for that day. It's called My Old Ass. It's
I don't know what this is.
Megan. This is a movie starring Aubrey Plaza. Essentially, she meets like let's read this. Elliot LeBron, who has been advised by her future self not to fall in love, is sure she can do so after being given the advice. That is until she meets the boy her older self warned her about, and it's loading. That's all it is. So it's basically Aubrey Plaza who goes back to try and warn a younger version of herself about, to make some different decisions about things go wrong, and wackiness ensues again as usual. It is an R-rated, comedy with Aubrey Plaza. So I'm going to check it out.
I just looked up the director. She directed one of my surprise hits of 2020. Was it 2020? 2021, which was The Fallout with Jenna Ortega, the school shooting movie. She directed that.
Yeah, see, I looked up, and the first thing that popped up for me was What If. I'm like, what? She directed that? No, she was just an actress in it. But
yeah,
so I recognized her when I see the picture of her. But yeah, but she directed that, so I know you said good things about it.
Yeah, I like Aubrey Plaza, and I'm intrigued just based off of that alone. So I did not know that was a thing. I clicked on it, and I saw that picture, and I was like, I've seen this picture of Aubrey Plaza. I just didn't know what it was for. Apparently, it's for this movie.
This is one you probably saw it because this is one that was at I want to say it was South by Southwest Festival. So when all the articles came out talking about what were the best movies to come out of the festivals.
Cuckoo was also at South by Southwest.
Yeah.
All right,
moving on to August 9th, which is actually a very busy weekend. Quantity wise, I don't know about quality wise. We'll see.
There's at least a few movies here that I'm intrigued by.
I think probably highest profile movie coming out that week is Borderlands,
Hell yeah.
which of course is based on the video game, directed by Eli Roth, who, but you know, he's made some good stuff here and there if he can keep himself in check. If you watch the trailers, it clearly is going for that Guardians of the Galaxy vibe. It's a sci-fi, it's a comedy, it's a a mismatched brand of kind of anti-heroes. But it's got a great cast, including Kate Blanchett, Jack Black, Ariana Greenblatt, Kevin Hart's in there. The guy who played Drago in Creed 2 is in there. I forget his name. Florian something, I believe. It does it look original? Not particularly. Like I said, it looks like it really wants to be Guardians of the Galaxy. Am I okay with that? Absolutely.
Once again, if you played the game, it's exactly like the game.
Well, I played the game a little bit, enough that I don't even remember it. I'm probably gonna go through and try and play it before I see this movie. But it's like, I like that aesthetic. That's what I loved about Guardians of the Galaxy. I think as the movies went on, especially by the time we got to number 3, I think that they got a little too serious. I'm like, I wanted to go back to just the goofy, fun version, and that's kind of what I'm getting here. So,
yeah, the cast alone, I love the cast. I know you're pretty much hating on anything Kevin Hart, but I feel like the role he's playing in this, I think is going to be fine. Jamie Lee Curtis, Ariana Greenblatt, Florian, he's perfect for the role that he's in. And Kate Blanchett looks like she's having fun. And lately I've been noticing if Kate Blanchett's having fun, then I'm having fun with her. And then, of course, Jack Black as Claptrap. That's a perfect casting right there. I loved the trailer that I saw. There's only been one, but I love what I've seen. Whether or not we get Handsome Jack in this, I'm intrigued on if they do. Honestly, if they casted Nathan Fillion as Handsome Jack, I'm going to just lose my shit in the best way. I don't think they will, but he has the charisma to be Handsome Jack, which is the main villain in the Borderlands games. I'm so excited for this movie. I want this to be a juggernaut. I really do.
It's not going to be a juggernaut. I think it could be successful. It's not going to be huge.
I think it's because it's in August. I don't think it's going to be because of that. I would love for this movie to be one of the top 10 box office of the summer. It's not going to be. No. But I would love it if it did.
The highest profile film coming out is Trap, which just got a recent trailer for that from M. Night Shyamalan this time. This stars Josh Hartnett in it. This is one that we just talked about the trailer. It's intriguing. It's an interesting premise. It's just a matter of we don't know where he goes with it. It's like you have this idea, but I don't know where you go with it. So it's like will it be good? I don't know. Again, M. Night Shyamalan is a total coin flip. Although we want to see Josh Hartnett succeed. So
yeah, did he give the twist away in the trailer, or is the twist something outside of that? We don't know. But like you just said, I want to see Josh Hartnett back in the forefront. I want to see him succeed. I want to see him do well. Giving him something like this is something that we've never seen him do. I'm interested with the premise of it, but once again, M. Night, you con artist motherfucker. I don't know if I can trust you. Ryan is more trusting of you now than he was in his earlier days. I'm kind of the opposite. I want to believe you. I do. I just can't yet. But this would be a good starting off point because, like I said, Knock at the Cabin was solid. I did not like Glass, so you're kind of going back forth on me right now, which means that this is gonna suck because I liked Knock at the Cabin. So if we're going on trend, then Trap's gonna disappoint me. But I would love for the trend to break and for me to actually start basically cutting M. Night some slack. This could be the summer of Shyamalan if this and The Watchers is both a success. I'm intrigued, but I'm holding extreme hesitation on this film. Now, one movie that we're not going to have extreme hesitation on is what comes out August 16th.
Oh, hang on. Let me finish August 9th first.
Oh, you got another one? I thought that was the only one.
It Ends With Us, which is it's pretty much a straight romance. Like I said, every summer they try to put out something to kind of the audience that doesn't want to see the blockbusters goes and sees. This one was actually supposed to come out earlier in the year. They moved it back to August. It stars Blake Lively, Jenny Slate's in there. I don't really recognize a lot of the other names. It's a straight romance movie essentially. It's based on a book by Colleen Hoover, who apparently is like a huge best-selling author. I don't read them, so I don't know. But they're expecting big things from this one. Also on that day, oh no, never mind. Cuckoo was the other one that got moved up a week. So yeah, okay, go on to August 16th.
Yeah, August 16th, Alien Romulus. Fede Alvarez, who in my opinion did a phenomenal version of Evil Dead, is now taking on the reins of the Alien franchise. The teaser trailer that we got looks like it's finding the right tone for an Alien film that we have not had in a very, very long time. Hopefully, none of this Prometheus crap or anything like that with the way the last two films have been. Covenant was fine, but it was good when it was about the xenomorphs. It wasn't good when it was trying to stick to Prometheus. But the aesthetics, the tone, the way it's shot feels very much like Alien, which would be a welcome comeback to the franchise that we have so rightfully missed. If it's anything like Prey, then I'm already on board, especially because of Fede Alvarez as the director helm. What are your thoughts on Romulus?
Yeah, no, after Prometheus and Covenant, I was kind of one of those people who was like, I don't know if I care anymore about the Alien franchise. I mean, Covenant was a step in the right direction from Prometheus, but it was still kind of disappointing. And then I heard they're making this one, like, oh, this one's going to be a lot, it's going to be a younger crew. I mean, they're not kids, but they were clearly going for a younger demographic on this. And I don't know. But then he attached Fede Alvarez, who that gave me a lot of hope, with Don't Breathe and Evil Dead and things like that. I really like the stuff he's done. So that gave me some hope. But then, yeah, I mean, that was just a very effective teaser trailer. I think that it gave you everything you need to know in very little time. It told you the atmosphere of it. It kind of gave you the look of it. And it kind of announced, the return of the alien we want to see. And
it takes place between the first two films.
Yeah. So it's without actually, it's not quite doing what some of the other franchises do, where they're like, we'll just ignore the last four films. They're not really ignoring them because it takes place before them, but still at the same time, it's like, you don't need to pay attention to those.
Yeah, it's like Ripley's out there at this point. But yeah, so I like that they're going in between them, which honestly, if it's good, then we can actually acknowledge that Alien, this and Aliens is an actual trilogy, and Alien 3 and 4 and all them can kind of just go away somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of Kaylee Spaney. I think she's fine, but I do really like Isabella Merced, and she's in this as well. So.
And I liked what I saw of Kaylee Spaney in Civil War, but I really don't know her from much else outside of that.
Bad Times at the El Royale is the only thing I really know her from.
Was what?
Bad Times at the El Royale.
I keep forgetting that she was in that.
Yeah,
I love that movie. I keep forgetting she's in it though. The only other thing that comes out that day is Horizon and American Saga Chapter 2. I mean, we pretty much already explained everything for Horizon. It's just going to reiterate the exact same stuff from there.
Yeah, although you do have on, I think it's Netflix. It's some streaming service. I'm pretty sure it's Netflix. The Union. This is a movie with Mark Wahlberg, Halle Berry, J.K. Simmons, Jackie Earle Haley, Adewale, what's his name? A construction worker from New Jersey is quickly thrust into the world of espionage when his high school ex recruits him on a high-stakes mission. I like the whole cast. The premise sounds like it could be fun. It sounds like it's an action movie. I don't know. Maybe it's an action comedy. It's just an action thriller, so it's not a comedy. So good, because I don't want it to turn into another one of his, Mark Wahlberg's on his family-oriented.
Hey! Family Plan was fun.
That Family Plan was amusing, but it's like but Mark Wahlberg has said, like, oh, I don't know if I want to do all these violent films anymore. I just want to do stuff that's like feel good,
Yeah, okay. Movies. How'd that go for Eddie Murphy's career there, Mark?
Yeah, maybe he signed up for this one before he made the decision. I don't know, but I like him. I like Halle Berry a lot. So this was one I'm interested in checking out on Netflix.
I didn't know anything about this. It is not anywhere on my list. I don't know why.
Yeah, August 23rd. Oh, we were wrong. It's not September. The Crow.
I was gonna say, I was like, I'm seeing Crow. Yeah. I was like, is this the date? Yeah. So The Crow, August 23rd. We've spoken about Crow quite a bit on this channel. We don't like the way it looks. It looks very much like Jared Leto's Joker. I have never seen the original Crow. I will see it before this comes out. I don't know if that's going to help or hurt me in that.
Well, I think you, having not seen it, you can watch The Crow to get an idea of the concept without being so attached to the exact look and style of it. Because, like I said, going into this one, when I've seen the trailer for this one, at first I was really down on this trailer. But then when I saw it again, I realized, you know what? I think that this could be actually a pretty good like revenge thriller. It just by calling itself The Crow, and it's like it's got these comparisons it can't live up to. Not because of necessarily the Crow is like the best movie ever made, but it has this following of people who really love this movie. Now there's gonna be like, oh, this is different. This isn't what we want. And I think that this could still potentially be very good. It's just the fact that they made it The Crow instead of just its own thing. It's gonna hurt it, I think. But Bill Skarsgård coming off of Boy Kills World, so it's good.
Yeah, like I said, the trailer didn't do much for me. I think the trailer had piqued my interest in any format was because of the music they played during the trailer, and you're not playing that song through the whole fucking movie. So that's the one thing that you had going for you in the trailer is not even probably going to be in the movie at all. So I'm not really sure how to feel about this. Definitely not excited for it. I would like for it to be good. I'd like for it to be good. I don't want Skarsgård to have a shitty film on his hands. So I just would rather be like, oh, there's great word of mouth. Sean, you should check it out. And then watch it go, yeah, it's actually pretty good. Then just going, yeah, that was awful. And then we're talking about it up against Madam Web for one of the worst films of the year going near the end of the year. The only other things I see for that day, there's a movie called Blink Twice. The trailer just dropped this week, but I have not seen it yet. Do you know anything about this movie?
I was looking it up right now and I saw the trailer that I have not watched yet. All I know about this movie, it's directed by Zoe Kravitz. It's starring, I think they're still dating, her boyfriend Channing Tatum. Kyle MacLachlan's in it. Adria Arjona's in this one again as well. I believe it's Zoe Kravitz's directing debut. So I'm curious to see how this one is. It's got actually great cast. I was actually looking at the rest of the cast. Alia Shawkat, Gina Davis, Haley Joel Osment, Christian Slater, Simon Rex, Naomi Aki. There's a ton of people in it. So hopefully this is not though like Charlie Day's directing debut where he called in all his friends to come do a cameo for him.
You had Brian and Christian Slater.
But I mean, I don't know. Let me see. The tech billionaire Slater King meets cocktail waitress Frida at the fundraising gala. He invites her to join him and his friends on a dream vacation on a private island. As strange things start to happen, Frida questions her reality. So I don't really know. I don't even know the tone of this movie. It is listed as a comedy crime drama. I know the original title of it, I believe, was called Pussy Island. Before they realized we probably can't advertise that when we want to in prime time. So it got changed to Blink Twice. But again, like you, I've not watched this show yet. So I'm probably going to check that out as soon as we're done recording here.
And the only other movie I see for August is there's a horror film that's coming out on the 30th called They Listen. Plot is still under wraps, so I don't know anything about it, but I do like the cast. You got David Dastmalchian as the lead, Catherine Waterston, who I like, John Cho, who I like, Riki Lindholm, who I think is solid. You also got Keith Carradine. Like I said, I don't know anything about it. I just know that it's a horror. But you got David Dastmalchian in horror and Catherine Waterston and John Cho. I'm there for that for those three alone.
Yeah, and this is a movie that got moved up because when they moved something out of December, so they decided to fill that spot with Craven, and also lets Craven come out after Venom instead of being the first one out after Madam Web, which might be a good thing for it. And then so they moved this movie up into this spot, which again, maybe it shows a vote of confidence in it. I don't know anything about it, but yeah, any chance to see David Dastmalchian in another lead role is a good thing for me.
Yeah. And that is it for the summer movies, unless you got another one.
There's one more on August 30th. It's going to be more of an Oscar bait kind of movie, not so much like a summer movie kind of see. There's a movie coming out called Reagan, starring Dennis Quaid as Ronald Reagan, Penelope Ann Miller as Nancy Reagan. It's just a biopic, but I like Dennis Quaid, so yeah, I mean, it's the kind of movie. I'm not expecting to love it, but if you're starting to look forward to Oscar contenders, I think that's going to be up there for acting performance.
I like Dennis Quaid, but I can't remember the last movie I liked him in. So I guess I'm not really a fan of him anymore. Because I can't remember.
I think about him, and even the last ones I can even picture him in were things like, Any Given Sunday or Legion or I don't even know what he's been doing. I know he did like some TV series for a while too.
Wasn't he doing like the the religious films?
I think he did. Oh, you know what he did? What are those dog ones? The Art of Racing or some shit like that. He was in some of those.
Like Yeah, it's like honestly, I keep forgetting that Dennis Quaid's still around because he doesn't do much
He
anymore.
was a bird watcher in Strays. I don't remember him in that.
Oh yeah, he played himself.
He was a voice in Strange World. Midway was the last probably big movie he's been in.
All these are like super small parts too.
Yeah, I can't. The last major role, like A Dog's Purpose, is the other one I was thinking of.
That's what it was. Yeah.
But yeah, he hasn't really been starred in much stuff in a good 15 years. But I like him, and like I said, this is going to be more of like an Oscar baiting movie. So, but yeah, that's the summer.
That's it. So now it comes down to our time where we horribly predict our top 10 summer box office for domestic, not worldwide. I'm not making that mistake again this year. So yeah, Brian, do you have just your top 10, or do you have like outside the top 10? Like how's your list? Because I've got 14.
You know what? I made a top 10, and then I had like other like dark horse contenders.
Okay, what's your dark horse? We'll go dark horse contenders, and then 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8.
Okay. For dark horse contenders, I just had a couple of them. I had where'd it go? Alien Romulus. I had just outside the top 10. Because I think Aliens lost a lot of people lost confidence in it. I think this will get them interested again, but I don't think it'll make top 10. Babes, I put there just because it could be that, that comedy that breaks through like one seems to do every year.
Outside of Deadpool, it's the only raunchy comedy of the summer.
Yeah, I have Borderlands. I have just outside the top 10. Because again, if it's good, that could make some good money because you got the action crowd, you got the comedy crowd, you got the sci-fi crowd, you got the video game crowd, some crossover. And then I did have Horizon. I just listed it once as that Horizon 1 and or 2 could make that. I don't think it'll be top 5 or anything, but it could make a 9, 10 spot.
We pretty much have almost the exact same.
Hey,
I've got Alien Romulus again, same reasons for you. Horizon, American Saga combined, I have is with you. I also have Borderlands, and then I've got If right outside the top 10.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I got If right outside the top 10. So those are both of our basically, right outside the top 10. They could jump in, they could not, but those are the ones that we feel are close enough to get there, but not quite.
Or if some of the movies we think are higher tank, these could take those spots. Yeah.
What is your number 10?
My number 10, I have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
So do I.
This is weird.
Okay. Wow, weird that we're so close so far. It's gonna fall apart. It's really gonna fall apart once we get to the top 5. But yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I think we have the same top 3. I think there's 3 movies that are definitely gonna be the top 3. It's just a matter of what order they're gonna be in, and then there's everything else. Yeah. But Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I mean, the previous films usually topped out. They made like about $150 million domestic. I think this will probably do a little bit less than the last couple because, I mean, the pandemic has changed the way people see movies and things like that. So I think less people going out to see it. Then also it's like they closed out that trilogy. I don't know how many people are like, okay, let's start another one. So I think it'll do well, but I think it will do quite as well as the last trilogy.
I am inclined to agree. I think the not having it be a continual story with Caesar is going to hurt it. Also, it's like hundreds of years ahead of where the last trilogy left off. Not having that connective tissue to it, but also kind of feels like it's a little bit connected because of just how it looks. But I also think word of mouth is going to be good. It's an early start to the summer, so I feel like people are going to be excited to go out to the movies again, especially with Fall Guy, and then that'll lead. I feel like that'll lead into Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But like I said, those movies always make good money, not great money. That's why I think it's going to be right at the number 10 slot. What's your number?
Do you have a 9?
My 9, or you go ahead. Go ahead. What's your 9?
Oh, I know if we were switching up. Okay. Number 9, I have Quiet Place Day 1.
Okay. Close.
No? Oh.
Close.
Okay. Yeah, Quiet Place Day 1. We've already kind of talked about it. I think it's the same kind of thing. I think it's going to do not as much as the originals did, for the same reasons. I think that people are gonna be like, oh, it's not about Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. They may not be as interested, but also the fact that it's the whole post-pandemic, it's not going to make as much money as the original ones did. So I think it'll do well. I think that this is one, especially, I think that it depends on word of mouth and quality. I think if this one turns out to be really good and really fun, I think could make a lot more money. Or if it can to be disappointing, it could drop out of the top 10.
Quiet Place is my number 8.
Okay.
So it was right there. And I feel like the same way. I feel like it's going to have the franchise name to it that's going to drive people in. But I feel like it not having, much like I said earlier, not having, Krasinski directing and Emily Blunt there might hurt it. But once again, people are going to be clamoring for a horror film, whether it's just a sci-fi action horror or just horror in general. There hasn't really been much at that point in the summer. So I feel like it's going to be the first real legit actual kind of horror film to start the summer off. So it's going to get that buzz. And like you said, depending on how good it is and word of mouth will depend on how high it will rise and how it'll just kind of be idle. It could easily be outside the top 10 or it could be, top 6. I don't think it's going to break the top 5, but I feel it's going to be right there in the middle. My number 9 is Bad Boys Ride or Die.
Oh, I have that much higher.
Really?
I do.
Will Smith used to be a huge box office draw. He's still a draw, but he's not what he used to be. But this is also the first Will Smith action film, I think, since the last Bad Boys film. Bad Boys movies have always, much like Planet of the Apes, they make good money. They don't make great money. I feel like with worldwide, it'd be a lot higher. But domestic, they make the same. All 3 movies kind of like the first one was 95. So you can't really gauge that. Bad Boys 2 made a lot of money. Bad Boys 3 was kind of like, it's been a long time. It wasn't great, but it was still decent. I feel like Bad Boys, I feel like it's going to be better money-wise than the third one. Because I think people want to see Will Smith back in kind of what makes Will Smith Will Smith. I feel like the continuation of the story and bringing him and Martin Lawrence back together is going to be very solid for it. But based off the movies I have ahead of it, like Quiet Place and the others we're going to be talking about, I don't think it's going to get higher than right around the 100 to 175 mil range. And even then, I feel like that's still going to be pretty high. But yeah. What was your 8? Since I said Quiet Place was mine.
My number 8, my heart wants it to be higher, but I think it'll fit in right about number 8. That's Furiosa. Because Furiosa, again, I think that the first one made like $154 million. It made even more worldwide. But some of that might have been fueled by the Oscar nominations it got, because it got a ton of Oscar nominations. It actually won like 6 Oscars that year. Of course, it was all the technical stuff mostly. But again, it doesn't quite have the newness that Mad Max Fury Road had. What it does have, it's got Chris Hemsworth, it's got Anya Taylor-Joy, who both kind of really hot right now, so it could do really well. So I think this is going to make some money, but it's not going to be like a top 5 blockbuster.
I actually have that higher. So,
okay.
My number 7, and this one could be lower. But I don't think see it going high. I would love if it went higher, and that's The Fall Guy. I think Fall Guy.
My number 7.
What's that?
Also my number 7.
All right, so we're actually going to be relatively close. Like I said, I think both of us would love if this was like top 2, top 3 for the summer. I just don't think with some of the films that are coming out that it's going to make higher than a certain point. I feel like 7 or 6 is kind of its threshold for the year. I think it's going to make really good money. I think it's going to have really good word of mouth. But with Planet of the Apes and other films coming out right after it, I feel like it's going to get staggered. Now, like I said, it could get legs to keep it, bumping throughout into June. But once June hits, you're going to keep getting more and more movies. It's going to get less and less screens, and that's where it's going to kind of teeter off after week 3. But I feel like it's still going to be solid. And being a top 10 for the summer, that's a win for this film. So I think number 7 is going to be a solid spot for it.
Yeah, my number 7 for all the exact same reasons as you said. My number 6, this is where I have If. Because I think that you're going to pull in kind of that free guy audience, who like the Ryan Reynolds, the comedies, which it's not as already.
You're doing the Top Gun Maverick Mission Impossible thing that I did last year. You're hoping it's gonna bump it.
Well, no, I just meant because I mean I just think you've got multiple audiences pulled into this, because you have that like free guy audience who like Ryan Reynolds, but they don't want, maybe they can't go see his like Deadpool, his like R-rated comedies. This is more accessible to more people. Then you get the whole family audience that's going to come see this movie, and I think especially in the summertime, people are looking for things to do with their kids or to take their kids to, just to get them out of their hair. So family movies always do well in the summer, and of course you got some animated stuff, and then I think this one is going to really ride off that as well.
What's your number 6? Oh, was that your 6?
That was my 6.
That was your 6. My 6. I want it so badly to be a top 3 one as well. but it's probably going to be at 6, and that's Twisters. I think you're going to get the excitement of it because it's it's a natural disaster film. Those usually tend to do really good if they're good movies. You've got the old school appeal of it being Twisters, but I will say this: as much as we love Glenn Powell, Glenn Powell's not a huge name yet. There's no real big name in this movie. Daisy Edgar Jones is still an uppercomer.
Anthony Ramos has done a lot of good
Anthony
stuff, but he's
Ramos,
not shown box office.
He's still an uppercomer, and Glenn Powell, he hasn't. Anyone But You was like something that was dropped off during the holidays. This is his first real test at, can he be a huge box office draw? Is it the name Twisters is going to get it, or is it Glenn Powell that's going to get it? And that's going to be the real test this summer. I feel like I would love for this to be a top 4 of the summer. I hope it is. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like 6 is kind of its high point because of all those reasons. But I hope one of the reasons that it is high, much like Fall Guy, is rewatchability. People trying to go back out there, maybe them doing special screenings like Twister and Twisters double feature in a drive-in or something like that. Do stuff like that. Help draw it to the right people, to the right money, so that way it gets a better draw. But that's where I have it at the number 6 spot.
I have Twisters at my number 5.
Okay.
So again, very close. For all the same reasons as you, I might be rooting a little bit more with my heart on this one because I want to push it higher. It could also just be ignored by audiences who are like, "Oh, we already saw Twister and we don't care." Because I've given up trying to predict what people think of movies anymore, because things that you think would be huge blockbusters, they don't go see, and then they go see Sound of Freedom for millions of dollars. So who the fuck knows anymore? But I'm voting with a heart on this one. I think it'll be number 5. I hope it's number 5.
My number 5 is Furiosa. I feel like it's going to grab the old school Mad Max crowd. It's going to grab the cult following crazies from Fury Road. I think it's going to have as long as the movie is at least decent, I think it's going to have a ton of rewatchability, especially in IMAX, because people want to watch the technical stuff, how beautiful it's going to look, because it did win all those awards. I think Hemsworth is a draw. You're going to have that. You got Anya Taylor-Joy as a draw, and then just the backing of Mad Max Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road didn't make a ton of money, but I feel like it's one of those movies that, like, it did solid in theaters, but the Blu-rays and the Chrome edition and all what happened after it left theaters is going to be the reason why Furiosa is going to succeed, where Mad Max Fury Road didn't succeed. So that's why I have it right at the number 5 spot.
My number 4, this is where I have Bad Boys Ride or Die, actually. And it seems so high until I start crunching the numbers. I mean, Bad Boys 1 made $65 million. Bad Boys 2 only made $138 million. Bad Boys for Life made $206 million.
But that's inflation, though.
Actually, if you do the calculations, it's still, even adjusted for inflation, it's the highest grossing Bad Boys film. I was surprised as anybody when I looked into this, and I was like, wow, it made that much money. And I think there really is an audience out there for Will Smith. There's a lot of people that love the action comedy. They love to see those two together. I honestly think if you look at this schedule, I think that for like African American audiences, I think they will really get behind this, because there's not a whole lot else out there that focuses on those characters. I mean, there are movies that have like Quiet Place Day One, things like that. But this is one that's, kind of two icons of the community. And I'm surprised as you that I put this high, but when I did the math, because I think that everything from, Twisters and Fall Guy and Furiosa and Quiet Place, Kingdom of the Apes, they're all movies that I think, they're going to make some decent money, but they're not going to be huge. I think this is not going to be top 3, because I think those are untouchable. But I think that it could surprise a lot of people and make some money.
My number 4 is also the surprise for me. That's Garfield.
Not even in my top 10.
I know, which is why I think you're going to be wrong. I think this is going to be like the Barbie. It's not going to be, top 2. But I feel like Garfield, once again, animated, kids movie, solid cast for voices, the old school appeal of Garfield. This is my Indiana Jones pick from last year. Is like, we're going to bring the old crowd in because they're fans of Garfield. Kids are going to want to watch it. It's all this stuff. If it was a live action Garfield like they did in the early 2000s, no, this wouldn't be in my top 10. It being, is it Illumination doing this as well?
I believe so. I'll check.
So once again, Illumination very rarely fails at the box office. I'm not a huge fan of Illumination, but Illumination for some reason is just a money-making machine with kids in the summer. It looks like animation. It looks like Illumination animation. I'll say that. If it's not, it looks very damn close. I know it's not DreamWorks, and it's
Well,
definitely
it's being released by Sony Pictures releasing. I'm just trying to see.
also Sony.
Yeah. Here it is, Garfield Movie. Studios. No, it's just Sony.
But I think this is going to make way more money than you think it's going to make. Once again, and then the following week, Furiosa and Garfield does not have any competition the following week. I feel like it's going to make more money than you think because it's got no contest for 2 straight weeks. And then it's going to have no contest till probably my number 3 comes out, and that's Inside Out 2. I think once again, Pixar it's going to be their first big hit really since Toy Story 4. I think Inside Out has a great backing to it. It's got a great following to it because of how popular the first film was. I think people are going to want to come back and see this sequel. I think it's going to be a good movie, which is going to also help with its box office. I think rewatchability, once again, for kids, because they can only watch Garfield so many times. They're going to want to watch something else new. And then Inside Out 2 is going to be it. Pixar is going to be right back at top of the mountain because of this. It's not going to be the number 1, but number 3 is a damn well good refresher start for Pixar. And that's why I have it at my number 3.
My top 3, I rearranged 100 times. Every time I looked at my list, like, nope, this one's me. Nope, this one's it. I didn't know where to put it. As it stands at the moment, Inside Out is my number 1. Inside Out 2.
It's going to go number 1.
I think that because the first one made a ton of money, more than any of these other movies. I found the comparisons for each film, based on previous installments and things like that. Inside Out blew everything else away, including the previous Deadpool movies, including the previous Despicable Me movies. In far as box office, you also have Pixar, who's been absent from theaters for the longest time. They're finally getting back to putting stuff in theaters. People love the first one. I think even more people than saw it in theaters have grown to love it, and people have gotten more kids and things like that are into it. I think it will make the number 1 film in the summer. At the moment, after you get in 20 minutes, it'll change it.
Well, let's put it this way. I feel like pretty much 6 through 14 are going to be decided within 50 million. I think actually more like 5 through 14. I have rearranged my 5 through 14. So I feel like they're within 50 to 100 million of each other. That is how close. It just takes one good weekend, and those things will shuffle. I feel like
I was actually putting numbers down just estimates to try and rank my predictions.
Yeah.
My number 5, I have like 170 million. My number 12, I have 100 million. So it's all right in there.
They're so tightly wound.
I feel like Garfield, like $300 million.
I feel like Garfield's going to be a significant jump over all of them, and it's going to kind of be on its own. And then I feel like 1 through 3, much like you, is going to be worldwide. 1 through 3 is going to make either 900 to over $1 billion worldwide. It is going to just be this much between the 3, between Inside Out, and then the other 2, which I think we have the same top 3. So what is Inside Out is your number 1? What's your number 3 then?
My number 3 is Despicable Me 4, which honestly I had at number 1 until 5 minutes before the show. But it's really hard for me to, because it's like you never hear people talk about Despicable Me anymore as a franchise. You don't seem to care so much about it. But then that's what I thought when Minions came out, and both of those ended up making $1 billion worldwide. And the last one in domestic made $300 million. So it's like I don't want to count out Despicable Me 4. I think it's going to do great. I just wonder if maybe people are finally getting a little fatigued of it. I haven't seen as much promotion for it either, although it's still quite a ways out. So there's plenty of time for them to ramp that up. So again, it could be anywhere in the top 3. I just at the moment settled at number 3 on that one.
My Despicable Me 4 is my number 2. The reason why I have it over Inside Out is 1, it comes out the last. You got, I think, was it 2-3 weeks of Inside Out before Despicable Me comes out. It comes out July 4th weekend, so it's going to have that extra rush. It's going to have the early release because it's going to be released on a Wednesday. And then also, it's got no kid competition until August. It is, which is Harold in the Purple Crown. It's not gonna. It's and that's not. I don't feel like that's gonna be competition for it. I feel like it is going to have pretty much the rest of the summer to drop kids off. To not drop kids off. You're not gonna drop kids off of the movies, but you know what I mean. It's gonna be people are just gonna go see this movie because of the Minions over and over and over again. Because yes, kids are gonna love this, but then the teenagers are gonna be like, we love Minions, and all that shit. It's going to make a shitload of money because it has nothing really to contend with it except for my number one. And the reason why number one is because it's all ages that are going to get into it. Because my number one is Deadpool and Wolverine. Because parents are going to bring their kids to it because they love Wolverine and they love Deadpool. Yes, there's gore. Yes, there's cussing. Yes, there's all this, but you know, it's Deadpool. It's almost like, yeah, it's fine. It's Deadpool. It's also, once again, connection tissue to the MCU potentially right there. It's also Disney push.
The only MCU movie coming out this year.
Exactly. It's the only MCU movie this year. It is going to be the juggernaut number one film of the year. Not just the summer, the year. It is going to be Despicable Me because it's going to have legs. People are going to want to see this, and they're going to want to see it multiple fucking times. Whether it is multiple viewings, whether it's at any time of the day, they're going to want to see Deadpool and Wolverine. It can be an average fucking film, and this movie still will make $800 million. You make it a great movie, it is easily going to pass $1 billion. It could very well get close, I feel, to Avengers or even Infinity War numbers if it's as good as it's supposed to be, because it is the only MCU movie this year. And you have two of the biggest draws of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine. I feel like this is a juggernaut that is going to obliterate, but a lot of it's also going to depend on Despicable Me 4 and Inside Out 2, because those are the only two movies I see that could either slow it down or come close to contending with it. It is going to be a very tight 3 race, or Wolverine and that. I feel like either it's going to be a tight 3 between these, or one of them is going to just be a blowing away the other two, and the other two are just going to be right here. So I'm assuming this is your number 2 then?
No, I didn't make my top 10. No, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is this Batman all over again?
No, not at all, because this one's going to be good. No, it's my number 2, because obviously it's going to make a lot of money, being the only MCU movie, being just something people have waiting to see a long time. It's going to make a lot of money. The things I think that slow it down, it is R-rated. Yes, there are parents that will bring their kids to see it. But there are plenty of parents who will not be able to see it, will not take their kids to see it. Or there's kids that they can't just drop off to go see a movie by themselves. So I think that does limit part of the audience, especially knowing that this will come to Disney Plus / Hulu, whatever, in 4 months later, that they'll be like, oh, we'll wait and watch it, things like that. Which brings me to the whole thing with you talking about contending with the Avengers, Endgame, and Infinity War. Pump the brakes on that one a little bit. I think this will make a ton of money.
That is the reason why.
But I don't think it'll come close. Part of that, again, being the whole that those were both pre-pandemic. People's movie watching habits have changed then. Lots of people just don't go to the theater anymore. And yes, they might come out sometimes for a blockbuster like this, but they don't go see it repeat times because things come so fast to streaming or to DVD and that they'll see it. You know what else? Just once or twice and then see it at home instead of seeing it 4 times in the theater.
Dune Part 2 is already over 700 million.
Yeah, there's no accounting for taste.
But if Dune can make over 700 million, Wolverine and Deadpool can clear the billion.
Dune is 700 million with no competition.
Yeah, but nothing's going to come close to being this stuff, though.
But I mean, I like you though. I think it is those top 3, and it could come down to any one of them. Could be anywhere in the top 3. Again, these Deadpool, Wolverine was at my number 1 at one point. They've moved all over the place, but I think we're in agreement that those are going to be the 3 big ones. So.
I'll be shocked if Deadpool and Wolverine are not in the top 3. I will be ecstatic.
I don't think there's a chance they're not.
I'll be ecstatic if Despicable Me 4 is not in the top 5, because that means we're in the trending toward the right direction. I'll be shocked if Inside Out 2 is not in the top 5. Is there anything in your top 10 that you would be shocked on if it underperformed or overperformed past what you think it is?
I don't think anything would shock me because, like I said, they're all just kind of right in that mid-range. I think that I would be pleasantly surprised and shocked if Despicable Me tanked. I think that I would be not shocked, but extremely disappointed if Twisters doesn't do a lot of good money. And I would be extremely happy if Fall Guy does more than I expected to.
Yeah, I'd be sad if Twisters and Fall Guy aren't top 10. I'd be
Yeah,
sad.
I think Fall Guy has a little bit of advantage just because people right now are in this kind of lull of not a lot of big stuff coming out. So I think that might bring out a lot of people, being kind of something that's accessible to all age groups, both men and women. I think that it'll do well, but like you said, it'll get a big hit the second weekend because of Planet of the Apes, and then the weekend after that, I think it's Furiosa, and so it doesn't, so it's got a lot to contend with. But I think it'll make some money. I just wish it had time to have more legs.
And I would love if Borderlands and Alien Romulus cracked the top 10. I'd be happy with those.
I think Alien Romulus is going to be a palate cleanser. I think it's a movie that's not going to be a blockbuster.
It's going to be Prey.
But it'll get people going, hey, they're back on the right track. So the next movie will benefit from this movie's success.
It's gonna be like Prey, except Prey was on Hulu. I think Prey would have done great numbers in theaters as a palate cleanser. And now the next Predator movie, I think everyone's gonna start paying attention to it. Anything else you'd like to add before we end this?
I want to ask you what are your top 3 movies you're most excited about of the summer?
Well, easily Deadpool, Wolverine, Twisters, and it would be Fall Guy, but that's the first one of the summer. If I take Fall Guy out of the equation, because that's the very, very first week.
No, I count Fall Guy. It'd
be Deadpool, Wolverine, Fall Guy, and Twisters, with probably Borderlands right at number 4 for me. What are you?
Mine are the exact same top 3 with probably Furiosa just outside that. So,
all right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed the summer movie preview. What are you guys most excited about? What do you guys don't give a crap about? Is it Despicable Me 4? It fucking should be. What do you guys think your top 10 box office is going to be of the summer? Do you think it's going to be the same top 3, or do you think something below the top 3 is going to rise up and to overtake what we believe is that 3-headed hydra of Deadpool, Wolverine, Inside Out 2, and Despicable Me 4? Let us know in the comments below. Feel free to like, subscribe, follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, I'm sure we'll be back again at some point for Movie Crusaders Chat About when we have enough to talk about. But if we don't have anything to talk about in terms of a lot of projects, we might just come back here potentially this weekend and talk Fall Guy. Because I feel like you and I are both going to have plenty to say about that when we go see it this weekend.
Well, I'm going to see it on Wednesday.
Yeah, you're seeing it Wednesday. I probably won't see it until Wednesday or Thursday. It depends on showings and work and stuff like that. But as soon as we both have seen it, I feel like you and I are going to hop on. We're going to want to talk about that movie. So we might just do a straight up, just good old fashioned review of Fall Guy. And we'll probably do more of that too, because we don't want to do Chat About unless we have like a lot to stuff to talk about. So it might be more of just us getting on and talking about reviews. We might do the same thing for Planet of the Apes if Brian has stuff he wants to talk about on it, or it might just be me. But anyway, we are now entering that time. We're going to start having a lot more videos out, a lot more stuff to talk about. But yes, feel free to stick around. We hope you guys enjoy this summer movies, because I hope it's better than last year. I hope it's more exciting. I hope it's not just Barbieheimer all over again, where we're just going, there are some movies out here. I hope there's some shocks. I hope there's some surprises. I hope everything that we want to do well does well, and everything that we don't want to do well tanks. But anyway, we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Wasserkrug. That is Brian Michaels. And until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch some movies. Go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.